games, but Falcons really battled back to get this one done, and I think it could be another tough start for Virtus.pro.
Well, look, yesterday, like, Virtus.pro were going to win the map, and then it was 5 defenses in a row that Falcons won out. So honestly, this is a classic tale of two halves to a game of Siege. Don't get too excited if you see one team pulling ahead in the half, because it can very easily just swing back the other way. There's one thing Jack kind of pointed to as well, was the only change in the veto compared to yesterday was that Virtus.pro picked Bank, which is what Falcons banned away in the subsequent action in the veto yesterday. All Falcons have done is say, okay, we'll ban away Consulate if you pick Bank instead. So no real change outside of that. I think it's probably because Consulate, they feel they've shown what they can do on it, and are worried that if they went there again, Falcons would just rock up and be able to have a response to what they were doing. Bank has been played once this stage, admittedly, by Virtus.pro. That was against GK, where they won 7-4. On the other side, this is actually one of those maps that we haven't seen Falcons lose all year long, except for against FaZe Clan. That's true of Clubhouse, it's true of Bank. It just seems to be a trend that FaZe Clan are their nemesis. And yes, in case you're wondering, they did also lose Lair to FaZe Clan earlier on this year, back at SI as well. Just can't seem to get them out of their history, Tim, but we'll talk about those maps as we get to them later. Focusing a little bit on yesterday and what we saw out of both teams was really aggressive defensive holds. If they were defending downstairs, they had players up on the second floor. If they were defending Gym, they were extending out towards Cash and CC. If they were defending Cash and CC, they were extending out towards Gym. They all realized and got the memo that the way you defend this game at the moment is being hyper aggressive. I even defined it as saying, if you want to look at the current meta of Siege and how to play defense when you aren't playing trap heavy operators all the time, these two teams both showed how to do that yesterday. So I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us today.
Pasha's going to be looking at opening up the stock hatch by the looks of things, so it's going to mean that Virtus.pro do need to play around the map. They don't want to give things up too soon, given they just spot the player out in construction there. They don't want to give up things too soon if they're opening hatches themselves, for example. They're going to want to hold on to that area. Got a good idea here, has Doom, on the position of that player, but to be honest with you, Rorik's going to give him absolutely, I was going to say Rorik's going to give him absolutely nothing, but he's going to give him absolutely everything. Doom manages to find a headshot elsewhere. Pasha gets taken down in the meantime. Falcons have come out quite literally flying.
That's a good start and the right amount of aggression you need as well. Like Virtus.pro, let's not forget, have already... some would see it as a pro, some would see it as a con, where you've already had a series today. Yes, they're going to be a little bit tired, but they're also going to be warm. We've seen teams lose the first map of the following series because the other team is just a bit warm from already having played a series that day. But as Rorik said, he's a little bit sleepy. He needs a nap. It's getting a bit later in the day for some of them across towards the Eastern European time zones. And Falcons certainly haven't started things out slow. They've come in on this one red hot, and round one was dominant. I'd be a little bit nervous if I was Virtus.pro, truthfully, having seen that what we've just come out of that first round. Falcons looking good. Yeah,
they've just absolutely demolished them, quite frankly. There was 3 kills within about 20 seconds, and that was it, round over. And look, the Falcons roster has been a little bit of an enigma through this stage. Obviously, you know, Shaiko leaves, Doom comes in, and we expect big things. Everybody expects big things, quite rightly. Salt Lake City was a struggle for them, I think it's fair to say. But we have to understand that it's a process. It is a change, it is a process that's going to take time. So there's been ups and downs through stage 1 as well. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride for them. We've been asking the questions at times. How long is it going to take this team to settle down? And I'm just starting to wonder, through the playoffs, are we starting to see more of a final form from Falcons? They look a lot more comfortable. They look like they are able to fight their way back in when they're behind. They can get on top of teams. They're starting to hit those shots, those clutches. They're just starting to gel a little bit more. And I'm looking and thinking, have they had that time that they need? I'm sure that there's more growth to come yet. I'm sure that there's going to be more wobbles along the way. You know, the path to success rarely runs smoothly, but I just think that we're starting to see, over the last 3 or 4 games, a little bit of a shift from Falcons.
I still remain a little bit cynical, truthfully. I'll come back to the point that I was made ahead of Salt Lake was most, well, everyone that I spoke to about, I approached every team, I got 15 replies, not a single one, but Falcons inside their top 3 to win that event, and obviously we all saw the outcome, they were nowhere near it. And although we're seeing them improve, like you say, I think there's just still been weaknesses compared to the team that we've seen historically. I hope I'm wrong and come the time of VWC starting out that we actually do see them really in fine form, but I just worry that they haven't quite fully figured it out yet. We've mentioned the change around with Solitaire and Leakifat being the 2 main entry players on the team. You know, Shaiko once held that role, so there have been system changes that they've had to try and process over time. Of course, we'll see if they can show real grit here across 2 series and adapt to what they saw yesterday in quick fashion, because come EWC, you're going to have to do just that. You're going to have to learn and adapt very quickly.
Pasha manages to take down Solitov. That's one of the entries gone, and that is the Solid Snake off the board. A big early pick. Of course, Solid Snake, we often think about that Soliton radar, but it's about the utility as well. Starts off with 1 secondary gadget and then can pick others up along the way. So, in theory, could have 3-4 throughout the round. So, a lot of value there is taken away by Pasha. 5 versus 4 now. Going to try and get the Monty in through one of these breaches. Perhaps it's going to be Users that's on that shield. Baits out of Nitro. That's nice from him. Good work. Manages to get himself inside. Shield extended as well. Dan, however, takes down Breede. They're going to have to start finding some kills. Nothing available for Users, but there is one for Doom. Flips to the secondary and takes down Dan. Back on to that sniper rifle. 4 versus 3. Still in the favour of Virtus.pro.
Oh,
Too easy
from Pasha. A reminder again, by the way, this is a gym bedroom defense, and they still have yet to crack open this cash CC setup. They've got at least some of it done, but Pasha's now going to be skulking down in basement. We saw this actually in the previous series where he disappeared into the map, kept popping up and getting the odd kill here and there. It was an absolute nightmare to deal with, but they've made the call here. Let's just go and hit site. They've done just that. Almost gets away with the kill, but no, Rorik's found him first. Uses, he gets traded out. Good round for Virtus.pro. Both teams showing a good bit of nous in those first 2 rounds, Tim. 1 apiece.
Yeah, a little bit of a missed opportunity for Doom there. It was always going to be a big ask, but 2v3 sounds a lot better than a 2v4. But he missed his chance to pick up the Warden as he was coming across Master Bedroom, and that was pretty much the end of that. It's going to lead us into round 3, where I think we will see the defense of Virtus.pro move across to CCTV and Cash. That's likely to be the last one. I don't see them picking up a bar and stock to try and surprise us. And yeah, I think both teams have looked good for the round that they've won. I don't think that Falcons did enough work in that one. They looked a lot better in the first one, but like you said, they just never really, you know, yeah, they sent Users in through the main breach, for example, but they hadn't cleared anybody from Red Stairs. They hadn't really created any pressure there. They couldn't move to the bottom of Red Stairs, for example, to put them in a difficult position. They still had somebody in Cash. Never really got them moving massively. That was a bit of a problem for Falcons, so I think they need to think about maybe the utility that they bring in this time. I can see already the Candela's being brought along. It's always going to be a good option. The Dock could be being brought along, get them calls in. Just make it more difficult for the defenders to pick their spot and stand there.
Be patient in there. They'll come to us.
Surely not pointed towards spoilers there, RBP.
It's the one, honestly, it's the one thing that I couldn't control.
I may have messaged them before the game and said, just give us updates on the game every round in game chat, yeah?
Be furious.
Hopefully. We need to know what's going on.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully he's just winding the French players up and hoping to get a response.
That seems to have worked. Liquefact did come back at him pretty strong, so fair play.
Yeah, so hopefully
it's about the mental game as well as the physical. That's the important part, Tim. Either way, let's see how they do in round 3. Starting things out, Jacuzzi is going to find itself opened up by the Habana, so it is only a small hole that gets opened up here, but not really a problem. Solitov can still step on through that very, very comfortably. No major problem at all. It's about this time-wasting game again, as I said. Yesterday, both teams did this really well. No matter where they were playing, they looked to play the rest of the map really aggressively. You can see 2 or 3 players, 1 in construction, 2 out towards gym and bedroom on the side of Virtus.pro, just challenging on towards Jacuzzi wall itself, giving Breede something to think about and slowing Falcons down.
Lights on.
Gonna get that little smoke thrown in through the construction wall. Gonna give an opportunity now, maybe just bait out a little bit of attention, a little bit of a peek, and we've got June just holding the angle there, hoping to pick somebody up, but they're not going to overcommit to that. There's absolutely no need to, no reason to. Have toxic babe canisters going out just to prevent the drop here from Solitov coming into logistics. Again, Falcons not really moving these defenders around too much. We've got Candelas going in, we've got shields going in, but how much progress is being made?
Oh, they tried to charge their way through, and Rikers has gunned them down as they ran towards him. 5v3. Falcons had to play this slowly at the start, thanks to the way that Virtus.pro were playing, and when they've tried to hit the gas and say, let's go for it, run them down, boys. The exact response, the exact opposite has happened, unfortunately. Still one inside of gym, as we just saw a second ago. Liquefact being very mindful of that slight window itself as he tries to creep on towards the balcony, and sure enough, as Necro takes a step across, gets his freebie. 5v2 for Virtus.pro.
Gonna to look to try and cut off that rotation, but honestly, a lot of the damage is already done. Doom just peppering shots in through there, but they're going to be happy to play advanced and aggressive siege here of VP, not only because of the man count, but because they've got that diffuser down inside of elbow as well. They know that it's there. Ooh, just threading the needle there. I think hitting him through the soft wall, finding the man, taking a little bit of chip damage off. Doom can't spot him as he comes around the corner. It's going to be Skies who manages to pick that up. Flawless round for Virtus.pro, 2-1.
I wouldn't worry too much, by the way. Leo did step in and translate for us, and what they said wasn't really... It's a soft spoiler. It was basically the equivalent of screw the ref, which obviously Leakafak agrees. You can try and guess from that what that means to them. I won't spoil it for you, but I can understand their fury.
I'll find out after the broadcast today. Virtus.pro 2-1, and we see the bans coming in. It's going to be Azami and Monty that will be taken away. We've already seen those shields used. The Monty will, of course, impact the attackers, but they haven't really used it too much. We've had a couple of rounds on the Monty. It hasn't been too successful for them. They've switched across to the Blackbeard in the last round. So I dare say that Falcons were already kind of heading away from that. Still not a bad ban. We've seen Virtus.pro banning the Monty out consistently tonight. It's just something that they don't like dealing with, but I don't know, maybe more value elsewhere.
Yeah, honestly I think it's a smart call to go and take away the Azami as well. Like, it's been such an ever-present part of Virtus.pro's wheelhouse. We have seen it in nearly every single round in the previous series. We saw it in every single defensive round on this map yesterday. It just slows them down. It gives Falcons time to have to pause and figure their way around problems, at which time Virtus.pro are then using that time to be able to strike them and cause upsets, as we've seen across those first couple of rounds, or the last couple of rounds, sorry, they've won. Interestingly, the score does stand exactly the same as it did yesterday, though. 2-1 so far to Virtus.pro. If you are curious, they then went on to win 2 more rounds in the following 3 rounds and secure a 4-2 half. That reminder again, though, the Falcons managed to win 5 defenses in a row. Admittedly, off the back of Solotov, 3 separate 3Ks that he got in rounds 8, rounds 10, and round 12. That was enough to see them over the line and give them the map win. Can they rely on lightning striking twice? Ain't too sure.
Yeah, I don't think Falcons are going to be too worried about this position that they're in. They've taken the time out. I don't think it's like a panic timeout, like it's going wrong. I think it's just, look, maybe there's a few things that we can change here. I think it's more of the attacking half is where we need more input. Is where we need to think about more what we're doing. I think, maybe a little bit less confidence there. On the defense, I think they're going to be very comfortable with what they're doing, very happy with what they're doing, and they're pretty much saying, look, we're not going to need a tactical timeout in the second half here, or we're very unlikely to. So let's take it now whilst it can have an effect. If they get 2 attacking rounds, I think they'll actually be happy with that, given that the performance that they had yesterday. Obviously, 3 would be better, 4 would be magic, but I think, 2 is satisfactory at this point, given what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we said about it in every series we cast over the last couple of weeks, really, is these timeouts do tend to come on the attacking side for that exact reason. There's more to fix than there is maybe on the defensive side, unless it really is falling apart for the defenders, which it very rarely is. Typically, if teams find this start out quite well, it's the attackers that warm into a game over time. Falcons that need to warm in here off the back of that attack timeout and get something going. Otherwise, it could prove to be a pretty difficult second half for them. But now, at least, though, looking towards the tools they've got on side. Once again, seeing that Grim, such a staple part of their lineup. It was banned away against them yesterday because it was such a nuisance and so key to how they play the game. Usage running around with the Ying, and of course, June back on the Blackbeard, as he so often is. Really a very standard staple Falcons lineup that lets them do everything they need to do inside the round. Of course, got the hard breach, got the nades to clear their way through utility, the Ash to help do so at range when there's a mirror on side. They are ready for what Virtus.pro have got in front of them. And it's got to make sure you're actually winning the gunfights that you come into, because Pasha, especially, and Dan have been pretty nasty so far today.
So Falcons made really quick early progress here because they were given the entire map by Virtus.pro. Everybody was back to all down in the basement. About 45 seconds, Falcons were confident. They moved in, they took the hatches. They've had a lot of control here, but again, they've not done too much with it. They're a minute 40 in. They're only starting to push mainstairs now. They haven't, necessarily got. I don't think they were necessarily aware of which hatches are open, which are closed. They've still got work to do. Hibana's running in there, ready to get castle barricades. There's a minute left on the clock now, and I just look at the last minute and I think, what have you done there? What have you? You're only just now opening the main door castle. It's maybe just a little bit slow from Falcons at the minute.
They very much choice, I think, because early on they had players on Virtus.pro stairs, right, and just have to be mindful they could still be up there. and to make sure they've got a bunch of the utility considered, which is now done, and now they can start thinking about this execute. I used to say back in the day, don't give them more than a minute to execute on this site, or they will do it in fine form. June's in for the entry on towards Nako. No C4 to come flying in towards June's face. Outside of the two that are now in Rorik and Pasha's back pocket, but another one falls down too. Two for him in the round. Dan no doubt now starting to feel the squeeze a little bit. Sees the head, but can't quite find the man. Sky's falling a little bit lower. Surely Falcons see this over the line, Tim.
You'd have thought so. 20 seconds left to go. Leak effect diffuser in hand. Brede manages to get one. Dan also finds users. That should have been the Blackbeard taken out, but couldn't find his man. 2 kills come in. Falcons, they use the time a little bit more wisely than I maybe thought they were. They left it down to that final minute, but given that they were handed the entire round to be in control of the map, they still had the seconds left that they needed to close out that in Church and Arsenal. Second attack done. Everything from here on feels like a bonus for Falcons.
Does, yeah. Really, really successful attack too. Like, just again, I think back to the days when they'd sometimes execute onto this site with 70 seconds left because teams are just so scared and they'd turtle up a little bit. Dare I say Virtus.pro to me didn't commit out to the roam. Around start, we had 3 players up on that second floor. And as you remarked, down for the last 60 seconds or so, they were all back on site. We had a lot of the floor already opened up for Falcons. They didn't really have a lot of contest. And sometimes, whether or not you're able to contest as defenders is forced by the attackers and how well they're moving you around, the threat that they're posing. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a passive nature coming out from Virtus.pro, and we saw that back at the very, I think at the start of the second map back on Chalet. First round, very defensive, got run over. Second round, came out and played the map, and it was a very, very different conversation. I just feel there they were a little bit too quick to drop away and really could have looked to try and play their life and get a couple of kills on the way out, even if it meant they lost players themselves whilst trying to fall back towards site or in trying to get those kills. It would have been worth it, and I hope they learned that lesson from round 4.
I'd agree, yeah, they can't be handing Falcons that sort of time and space because they are going to punish them for it, and we saw that they did. So on we go. Gym and Bedroom in round 5. 2-2, even spoils at the minute, and look, this one is starting to share. You can see already after 4 rounds why we wanted this rematch today. We saw a phenomenal game between these two yesterday, and this one is promising to deliver just as much, if not more, thrills, because right now there is nothing to separate these two. They've both had big moments in this game, and they've both got good rounds won. There's been some clean siege on either side, and I think that's going to continue. So they spot out the mirror window, as would be expected on Bathroom. Just trying to get that drone lodged inside there, put it up on the bomb chassis to feed that intel in throughout the round, but it got taken out. So a good job from Virtus.pro on the defense there, just preventing that intel becoming a problem.
Solid's here to get rid, which he's now aptly do, making sure he's got the cover from a swing on 90 as well with the Grim Bees, which I think Brede meant to get a little bit deeper. More top main he was looking for, but oh well. Mirror's been dealt with, it's smashed out, they now can't easily step across the contest. However, shotgun holes do mean they'll be able to quick beat their way across here, which is part of the worry. The Skies is almost standing out in the open here, waiting and ready. Pasha getting a nice one on the smallest of angles on towards Solotov. That's Ash offline, Brede getting a response back. Now someone's got to get back onto this mirror window and hold this breach.
I was going to say it was getting a little bit crazy from Skies, just stood in the rotation, and ultimately he's been punished for that little bit of aggression, I think, just through the little hole that's developed to the side of the mirror window from that Ash charge detonating. It was a really nice kill. Leaves them in a 4 versus 3 with Rorik gone as well, so that's your Warden offline. There's only 1 smoke canister, so probably not too much advantage that can be gleaned from that, but Pasha managing to find that nitro onto June. Blackbeard gone, 3v3, a minute left on the clock, and this could be back to the drawing board for Falcons.
Okay, slowly does it. Both teams been whittled down by 2 players. It's the kind of thing I was calling for in the previous round there, right? Don't be afraid to reduce numbers down, even if it means you lose your life along the way. Uses finding Dan, though, is a little bit caught in no man's land inside of construction. On the outside, an easy cross as Leaky Fat gets Nako. Didn't even fire a bullet back, I don't think, there, Nako. Leaves Pasha to get an ace, by the way. He's got 2, needs to find himself every single one. Was looking for the last 2, wasn't miles off, but Falcons get it to him. That's them up 3 and 2 on the attack.
The problem for Pasha there was they just knew exactly where he was. And like I said, this is ideal now. That was, you know, the first bonus round for Falcons, getting themselves onto 3. And you might be looking, you know, you might be thinking, "Es, what are you going on about? You know, 2 attacks, they want more than that." Of course they want more, but if you look, the reason I'm saying that is if you look at the attacking stats for Virtus.pro, that's the particularly important point. Here on Clubhouse, they've only got a 40% attacking win rate over the last, you know, few months that they've played on here. And that's not great. So basically now Falcons are in a position whereby if they just play to the statistics, they've got a 60% defensive win rate, by the way. If they just play to those numbers, to what they've been able to accomplish and what Virtus.pro have been able to accomplish previously, then Falcons win the map. So that's why 3-3 is good enough. 4-2 would be phenomenal for them. I really think Virtus.pro are in serious trouble if this goes 4-2 now.
Yeah, I started to get a little bit nervous for them then as well. And even worried a little bit about Bank because, again, we know that they're tired, but a very motivated Falcons against a little bit of a tired Virtus.pro. I think we can see which way it starts to go, especially when attack has been this dominant so far for Falcons. And you go into a map like Bank, which, as I said earlier on, is the most attacker-sided map that we have in the pool, and EML especially. 54% attacker win, by the way. Makes you think Falcons could even 2-0 this one, so it might not even be the really close, scrappy, right down to the wire series that we had yesterday. Might be a little bit more decisive than that.
Looks like they're coming out to play.
Final defensive round then for Virtus.pro to try and level things up. It is going to be CCTV and Cash. They won it back in round 3. It was the last round that they did win. Falcons have managed to get themselves back-to-backs after that point. And have the long angle, I think, just being held through CCTV window for a little bit there. See if they can catch out any rotations whilst they get this wall opened up. That's going to be construction, so Pasha's position. To be honest, it didn't back him up last time at all. It maybe makes the rotations for Rorik and Dan a little bit more risky, but to be honest, they're going to play their life out here on the gym and bedroom side anyway. At least one of them will do. You can see the utility that has been expended out there. They're not going to want to give that up too soon. They've got FNATs out there, they've got deployable shields out there, they've got all sorts going on to keep them in this position.
Give that first battle around Jacuzzi Breach again. We saw Pasha get the opener last time. Solotov a little bit better. Still firing all cylinders today. In fact, the whole Falcons team is. All of them up there. Solotov in the middle of, not really side, but in the middle of the extension has got away with 2. Yes, Pasha might get one in response, but you don't mind that, Tim, because yet again, Falcons have got themselves the advantage. Nako working his way up from the backside. Have they got tabs on him? You'd hope so, but nothing's guaranteed. Yes, they have. There you go. You've just seen it. Maybe a swing to come in. Nako's already dropped away, though, and has taken out the drone, taken out the fire with the environmental ingredient being removed alongside him. He's coming back for afters, though, Tim. He's coming back for a second sniff in.
He's going to be in trouble if he does. They are holding that. Should be the signal now for Falcons to think maybe we push towards site. There's only 2 of them on there. We could get them into a 3v2, a 4v2. They haven't been able to kind of relocate themselves quickly enough to do that before Nako gets back to site. It's not the end of the world, but
He's off to.
Skaz has taken a lot of damage here. I think he's going to try and get himself back up red stairs. He's just looking to survive at the minute, but needs to be very careful because literally one touch of a bullet will do the job. Nako taken down. Pasha and Skaz both super low health. Not looking good for Virtus.pro right now. Leakerfact manages to find Pasha. That's a beautiful kill on the long angle. The plant is going down from Brede as well. The LMG can do nothing. Doom can do everything, and Falcons, they take the first half 4-2.
They are not mucking about today, are they, Falcons? Different beast to yesterday. Not that they played bad yesterday, just that today there's levels now. Yesterday it was very, very close. Let's head over to the studio, though, guys. I don't think that's what any of us expected to come out of that first half.
No, it's a big improvement in comparison to what they did yesterday, because yesterday only won 2 rounds really on the attack here, and they're already doing a better job now.
Yeah, 2 times more rounds, and I think to me it's the adaptation from yesterday. What do they do differently than from most teams on Clubhouse? Most teams will go and take step by step, go slowly behind a Monty. They will bring Capitao, they will bring EMPs, all of this stuff. I think on the side of Falcons, they decided to not play into VP's slow game. Instead of going about utility and clearing them, look at this. Look at how many explosive attacks we've seen on the side of Falcons, on the back of a Blackbeard, for example, of Ying, of Grim, of Dokaidi and Solid Snake combo. We're seeing a very different lineup, targeting, getting the man advantage quite quickly, and then exploding on site with a lot of utility on the back of Ying and shields.
And it really speaks to what you said earlier about when you're going up against a team on the same map the day after you've already beaten them on it. Do you change? Do you stick? Do you twist? What do you do? And actually, Falcons, they made a change. They decided instead of playing default, we're actually going to play a lot of initiation operators. We're going to play a lot of operators that are uncomfortable to be a defender against and forfeit some of that more traditional utility.
And then the second thing to me that made them kind of unpredictable compared to yesterday was about the shields. When you think of Falcons and the main shield player...
Ooh, I know this one.
Yeah.
Brede.
Exactly, right? Brede is usually the guy that plays the shield. But if you pay attention to what happened in this lineup, in the first 6 rounds, we've seen 2 rounds with Yuzus on Monty. We've seen 1 round with Solotov on Blackbird. We've seen 2 rounds with Joom on Blackbird.
Yeah.
So 3 different Shields players, and none of them are breathing. And very different ways to play the Shields, by the way. Yuzus is a little bit more safe on the Monty. Solotov played Blackbird super aggressively. Joom plays it quite calculated, only gets aggressive at the right moment. They're keeping VP on their toes.
Yeah.
They're playing a very weird, aggressive, roam clear playstyle on a map that usually doesn't suit that. And I love that innovation on the side of Falcons.
And I think what's interesting actually is whenever Breedo's on the Shields, we saw this yesterday actually, it wasn't on Clubhouse, but it was on the other maps that they played. Very often last alive, especially I think it was Lair that we saw it on.
Yeah.
Very, very passive, very last alive, very using the Shields just to try and bait pressure and bait presence, whereas the others will play it a little bit more actively. I think of the church round with Joom, where he was pushing out and he actually got 2 kills on the Blackbeard by ADSing, and then he actually managed to just force somebody out. So he played it aggressive and passive. Now as we get into the halftime, we probably wondered, will we see a repeat of yesterday?
Yeah.
Because Falcons, when they were on this map yesterday, when they played Clubhouse yesterday, they found success off banning the Ace and banning the Thermite, forcing these small breaches and forcing it to be very, very calculated as to where VP were going to go.
Yeah.
They allowed Nako to have the shields, but they just lobbed C4s and smokes and impacts and anything they could at him.
Tuberao and Mira are opened, so in theory you could go and try to trick at the same time. Wamai now has a C4, so Wamai can play in rafters with 7 magnets and can play the C4 game in the late round. So the patch actually makes it really good. Jagger is completely buffed, he can run around, so he can set up the ADSs in rafters and then go on a roam as well. I don't know if they will have read the patch notes just in time, but we'll see.
You must imagine they did, of course. And, well, defense actually was the half where Falcons made the big difference yesterday. I'm hoping we get a second very explosive half.
And I'm very sure we will. And if any, like you say, if yesterday was anything to go by, I only think we're going to see more of the same, especially, Tim, when my eyes fall over to this Falcons lineup. One, of course, we find ourselves with the Scott Boss on side. That's always a sign of trouble. We've also got the Castle on side, just to complicate things across the ground floor for when the attackers want to push their way through. We've got the Black Eye cameras to inform those out on the roam. I think this could be a little bit of a nuisance for Virtus.pro to deal with unless they smash their way in towards side and ignore all of this. But you're unlikely to be able to get away with that because of those Goyo canisters, which will impede your path.
I love the Leakerfact Scopos pick. We see it occasionally. He's going to stay out on that roam for as long as he can. He's going to be as aggressive as he already. Look how aggressive he is. He's just waiting around that corner. He's going to get him here, honestly. So just waiting for the sound of that rappel. And if it comes, he's going to absolutely...
Or for the drone.
I don't think he's going to run out that far.
No.
He's not going to want to challenge that too much, but he's just waiting for his opportunity. If they don't draw on him, he's just stood clean in the doorway. They've seen him. And he has no idea. Big problem.
Destroy the drone, though. They know. They know.
No, there was one behind him that was just covering him. Again, well played from Falcons there. Leakerfact wanting to get aggressive, wanting to take the fight. You spoke about aggression on defense earlier at the start of this game and during the last one as well. And that's what we're talking about, making it very difficult. Joom is the one ultimately to pick it up, but where does the kill come? Dan's still outside of the map. Great stuff from Falcons, honestly. At this rate, Clubhouse is going to be over quickly.
And that's the worry I have going into Bank as well, that yes, it's a new map, yes, it's one that Virtus.pro really like, but as we've already said, they aren't exactly started on it themselves. Their Falcons only having lost it to, in fact, I like, they've lost it to a few people throughout the year, but a map they're still very happy to play. I've played it 9 times. They won't be bothered going into that map. They'll happily play Virtus.pro anywhere right now, it feels like. Pasha at least is there for a trade, but it feels like a lot of the damage, Tim, has already been done because the players on Falcons can now fall back towards site. A very successful run. They've wasted half the round. They've got 2 kills. It can't really go much better than that.
Leakerfact's still in kitchen, by the way. They've done nothing about him. They've sent the shield down main stairs. There's every possibility that Leakerfact just comes running down behind them here in reality. Again, they're playing... I don't know what Virtus.pro are doing here. They have absolutely got away with one there. Make no mistake about it. Leakerfact does a little bit of damage to Pasha. There's a world where he gets a double kill there. They just haven't done enough to deal with him. A minute left on the clock. All sorts of damage done by Falcons. They're now safely back to site, and they're just going to sit and hold those angles. And do you know what? With only 3 left alive, it's going to be really difficult for Virtus.pro to push multiple sides, which is what you want on this attack.
Nako continues to be the man who eats the most impacts and C4s I think I've ever seen. They just keep on having a go every single day of the week. They've only got the 1 C4 and a couple of impacts left to work with. That won't be enough to kill him. C4 up over the top. That is a great, well-played C4. Gets rid of Pasha. And now it's a 4v2 for Falcons. One of those being left to shield. I mean, it is Nako. He can do it, Tim, but not when he's pushing from 2 angles like that. Great team play from Falcons once again. I already said it felt like there was levels between the 2 teams today, Tim. And it's only showing even more here in round 7.
Yeah, it really is. Falcons are just looking so comfortable. There's no rattling them whatsoever. Rorik's going to disappear upstairs. 7 seconds left to go. This is just an opportunity to speak as the team. That's exactly what they're doing right now. They're listening in for those instructions from the IGL and just trying to piece together a round or two, because right now Falcons are just running roughshod over them.
Few looks of agitation as well, I think it's fair to say, from Rorik there. Probably not how they expected this to go. Granted, I know your focus was on the previous game. That's what a lot of the prep have gone into. No point prepping for Falcons if you couldn't get over GK. And GK, as we said at the time, did put up a pretty good effort until the final map, but they are just looking a little bit out of sorts here. You'd think they'd never seen them on this map before, Tim, but they just saw them yesterday.
You got to, I mean, you got to wonder, you know, how much of a toll has the GK game taken on them. 2 close maps to start with, 7-5, 7-5. You know, of course, pros at this level should be more than capable of playing 6 maps in a day. You can end up in a best of 5 grand final, and you got to be able to go and win it. You know, we've seen matches much longer than this, but you just have to wonder, you know, has it had a little bit of an impact? And it's just giving Falcons the edge at the minute, because they are most certainly on top 5-2. It stands on the scoreboard. We're going to go to gym and bedroom. Falcons will continue on the defense. And the question for me right now is, you know, can Virtus.pro get themselves a successful attack to get the ball rolling?
Okay, 3-round deficit opens up. It is a long way back to the top, but if Virtus.pro can pull off what Falcons did yesterday, they can still win the map. Like, we didn't think when it was 5-2 Virtus.pro that Falcons would be able to do it, but they did. It's more the nature in which the game has gone so far that's the problem. We saw that being knocked away. That was a cheeky attempt, actually, as well. Knocking away with the gadget from Dan or from the gun, sorry, as he takes a shot on. Almost fortunate in a way, June, there was no one there looking to immediately capitalize and punish the Clash for that.
I think bringing the Kali is a smart choice here. It's a really good way of dealing with that clash. Of course, it instigates the shield break onto Doom in this case, so something that they need to be really careful of, Doom particularly in his movement. But Kali is, you know, pretty decent anyway. Has that little bit of ability to clear wall denial and things like that, or you know,
mirror especially.
Yeah, mirror, shields, anything like that you're coming up against. So a lot of value to be found there, and if they can deal with the clash, then, well, it's a bigger bonus again.
I do love how, like, Dan's, like, in case you see a player, like, pick out, like, you know, a Thunderbird for a pocket strat they've got on a site, quite consistently, Dan will pick up a Kali and run it. Like, it's one of his most played operators in the league right now. I'm pretty sure, actually, even is his actual most played, even over something like Twitch, that he's quite well known for. It's really interesting how they're one of the only teams doing it, almost like they're trying to innovate a little bit. They were, for a time, the team that would always run Fuse as their shield as well, because they anticipated getting triple banned. They'd run a Fuse knowing that no team would dare ban that away from them, and therefore started making it a part of their strats. Maybe Kali is that new thing they're trying to find? I don't know. But they've been trying it an awful lot and found, obviously, decent success. It's why they're one of the final 2 teams in EML.
Falcons decided that it was time. They had had enough of trying to hold on to cash, and they've dipped themselves back. They did so successfully, but do ultimately lose that entry battle. Rorik managing to find Solotov. That's the army taken down, so Doom steps forward on the clash to try and fill that space and try and make it difficult for them to move through. The Gon 6 goes in to try and clear the shield out. Doom did have it back in hand, but I think it was also picked up by the magnet system as well. So that's going to be the clash still in position. 55 seconds left to go, and this is what you want the clash for, to deal with the Monty. You got to take out the other player first, though. They do manage it. 2 kills come in, and that leaves Monty in a bad spot. But how about this? Neko starts fighting back and is now just in face to face with the clash. Doom needs to get that shield back in front of him realistically.
Yeah, he does at this point. You know, there's no Kali on side. You can afford to have that shield out. There we go. It now being down is be a nuisance for Neko, because he'll constantly get guard broken every time he tries to step forward. Tell you what, though, the angle is tight. He might lose his life here if not careful. A C4 comes out and Batra is gone. It's all down to the Monty, and the Clash does what she does best. Shuts down enemy shields.
Essential cover from users there with the Nitro to protect that clash. They knew at that point that the clash was the win condition, because it helps deal with the Monty. Like you say, the guard break comes in and it means that the shield becomes an easy kill. And they nearly lost Doom. It's so difficult. The clash shield doesn't wrap around an awful lot, so trying to stay in behind it while still peaking, you know, making your challenges is tough. But users came up big with a Nitro there to help out. clear that threat, and that meant that the round could be won. So Falcons now 6-2, and they've got 4 back-to-back map points. They played well on Clubhouse yesterday. They played far better again today.
I think they might be desperate to catch the second half of the game, Tim.
Who knows?
So granted, I doubt they can speedrun their way through the rest of this map and then the next map in time, truthfully honest with you. But they're certainly making it look like a speedrun is in their mind. This could be a 7-2 on Club over Virtus.pro, and given how yesterday went and how Virtus.pro played in the previous series, I never would have had that on my bingo card.
No, and let's remind you exactly what they're playing for. This is really about the SI points. Obviously, first and second has a big difference. 120 SI points up for grabs here. 420 for the winners, 300 for second place. It can make all the difference, especially for a team like Falcons. Let's not forget, they did not do well at Salt Lake City. They did well to qualify. They got good points there, but they don't want to be taking any chances with getting to something like SI, and having had a tough finish and reducing the points that they were going to take away from that event, getting the top spot here is going to do some serious work to remedy that.
They very, very narrowly made it out. Interestingly, made it out of the Swiss stage of Salt Lake City by beating Virtus.pro 2-1, but then got decimated by FaZe, as many teams would and did at that event, with a 2-0 in the quarterfinals. Well, quarterfinals are still okay for them. It definitely wasn't the finishing or the ending they were hoping for. Obviously, wanted to make a far deeper run than that. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. As Groovy said in his interview earlier, it's the game. You've got to accept you're going to lose sometimes, and you've just got to be okay with that. Either way, certainly not on the way to losing here. They're looking solid. And again, putting up a real fortress in front of Virtus.pro. So much they've got to work through with the mirror, with the Tuberal, with the castles that are around, and they've got to worry about the echoes later in the round. Ugh, so much to worry about. And that when do you see Brede making plays like that? That's too easy.
Absolutely horrific there. Just pops his face out of construction, and what an angle to get up onto the rooftop there. Brilliant stuff from Brede. 6-2, and Falcons are just playing with a style, with a confidence right now that is unstoppable. There's always a trade, there's always an answer, there's always a response, there's always a solution. Falcons are on top, there is no question whatsoever. Virtus.pro fighting for their lives here on Clubhouse. It's 3 versus 4. Nitro goes out, will be unsuccessful from June, but still, it's all about slowing Virtus.pro down, making them think if they know there's somebody below, now they have to think about the staircases. Where are they going to pop back up? Are they going to be challenged on the flank? It just creates so much uncertainty.
You can just see, like, at this point, Falcons are very comfortable. They've got the player downstairs that you mentioned, Yuzu, so they'll just try and avoid the action, play off the drones if he really has to. But honestly, they probably get the kills as they try and make their play here. They've still got the Finker Juice, they've still got a smoke, they've still got Candelas. They've got tools to get the job done. I'm just worried the Falcons are ready for them, especially with that C4 pointed in towards the breach here. This could be all too easy for them to net a couple of kills.
Echo does manage to find the first onto Doom using that scope, comes around the corner. Does he find his man? No, they've relocated. 3 versus 3. Brede is fighting, but does find his man. Does get downed in the process, but Rorik is out of it. So we're effectively 2 versus 2 now. 13 seconds left to go. They're going to try and put the plant down. The cover is there. Dan, he needs to go big, but look at that shot from Leakafak. Who else? 1 versus 1 now. He's up against the glass, Des.
He's got to seal it here and now, right, is the thing. He's ready and waiting, and he hits the shot. A 3K from Leakafak in the round, hands them a 7-2 on Club. What a dominating start to the series from Falcons.
Yeah, they've looked absolutely electric there, much closer, being back to their best. The Falcons that we love to see than I think we've seen throughout this stage so far. That is what we've been waiting weeks and nearly months for now.
Having to show what they can do on this map ahead of EWC.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, realistically, Falcons would much rather have probably gone somewhere that was maybe a worse map for them, just so that they, you know, weren't showing this maybe within a good few months of going to EWC. We know that teams like to keep a map or two kind of in the, excuse the pun, in the bank. To, you know, be able to bring out a big tournament, and that's been taken away from them effectively here. So Virtus.pro bringing them to bank. They're backing themselves. Like you said, they've had some good results as well. We're going to have those bans coming on, and it's going to be Mirror and Castle. It's going to be Ace and Monty. The Monty makes sense. I'm not saying Ace doesn't, but usually if you're going to go for the ranged breach, you've kind of got to commit to both. I think Hibana will come out as that third ban there, so the top floor second time around is going to be a bit easier, but you've still got to deal with it on the first time.
Probably depends if they just avoid playing top floor altogether, right? Because that ban combo is really effective when you're playing up on the top floor, but we've seen teams just swerve going there entirely. Time will tell, of course. We're going to start things out down in the basement. We'll see what happens when we get round to the second and third sites. I can only imagine, Tim, this will be one of those very aggressive maps because, as I've already alluded to a few times on this broadcast, this is currently our least defender-sided map in the game. It's at 46% for the defenders, which means attackers are winning this more often than not. That is a very rare thing to be able to say about any map inside a Siege, which means defenders need to play aggressive. You need to be getting out in the map and contesting and fighting for every square inch. So far, Virtus.pro got 2 or 3 players out and about, keeping themselves busy. I can't imagine they'll sit back and just turtle for this one. They will force Falcons to have to fight them across the whole map.
Well, it just goes to show with Falcons picking attack as well. You know, it was Falcons, not their map pick, so it was their choice which side they started on, and they've gone straight away for that attack, expecting to get themselves a good advantage. So they're going to be attacking into the basement to begin with. It's going to be bottom floor, but if we have a look across the side of the defenders, there's a couple of them outside of it. Skies and Rorik are going to be the two that are tasked with holding on to this mid floor for as long as possible. Skies in tellers, Rorik in open area. We've seen it. The tail as old as time now, and Falcons should have a plan in place to remove them.
They should. My main worry was, as I was speaking about them playing out on the road and playing aggressive, they're pretty much all fallen back. Like, you've got Dan sat on blue stairs, you've got Rorik who's dancing around open area more as a early warning more than anything else. Guys inside of archives too, so okay, like there's a little bit of presence out there. It does make a problem for Falcons to have to work their way through, but typically Shields are very, very good at forcing these players to have to drop back down to the hatch and get back on towards site, at which time Falcons have got a minute and a half to figure out what they want to do.
Elevator is going to be cleared out as Doom sends the nade on in there, so they can be confident of that. Everybody is back down to smite now, apart from Skies, who is playing here on blue stairs. Actually going to be supported by Dan as well. So now really focusing on keeping a hold of server. The hatch is still closed as well. Falcons half of the round left to go. No attention towards garage, so Pasha doesn't need to be worried about that. It looks like it's going to largely be a standard hatches and server take.
So looking for a C4 waiting on the below, though, up and over the top. Not quite going to find either player that was hanging around inside of admin, which means Leaky Fact can carry on largely unbothered now. It's what was that noise? No idea, just the wind, and off he cracked. But getting this hatch opened up, that's now done. He's got himself tucked inside the corner, and there are no more C4s to come his way, but there are definitely bullets, Tim. His feet, his toes, he's just sticking over the edge of the hatch, and that gets him down. Somewhat recoverable, I want to say. But maybe the team won't really bother here. Maybe they're just focused on trying to hit site.
I think it was a little bit of unnecessary risk from Leaky Fact there. Open the hatch, get yourself away from it if you're going to do some droning. Just back up and create some space. Don't risk leaving a foot overhanging like that because you've taken 80 damage for not much reason. Solitov manages to find Pasha though. That could get things going for Falcons here. We're going to have those light screens down from the Sens as well. Doom just able to work in the gaps between, but Dan picks up Breeder. Rorik onto Doom, taking the shield out. 2 versus 3. Diffuser is recovered. Are they going to have an opportunity to put it down? 14 seconds left to go. I like the way that Virtus.pro are playing this. They're not overcommitted. They're just stepping back, but the cover is there. Users has absolute nerves of steel, and it is all up to Leakafak. He was down but not out. He was picked up. Can he keep this for his team?
He can get the angle though, so the ball gets one. Oh, the second, but Necro comes off and gets his man. That's an explosive way to close out the first round. So we've Virtus.pro going up 1-0 on bank.
That was really smart from Neko, though, to take the peak there at the point where the shots had already come through. I think naturally, if you're Leaky Fact, you get that first kill and you're thinking, you have that kind of second of lag to think, right, where's the next one? Do I need to challenge onto the diffuser? Is he still planting? You're not naturally just going to keep shooting. So Naquo just strafing across straight into where that killer's come in, straight over his teammate's body, is perfect because there's no more bullets following, and it was just really, really well won. Brilliant stuff from Virtus.pro. It was close. It was close for them at the end. They get the job done.
Woo. Well, it shows that maybe we're in for yet another entertaining map team. The first one, admittedly, a little bit flat at 7-2. Virtus.pro have already got half their round count here, and so just that first round, hopefully it's only up and up from here, even with it being one of those more attacking maps, like I've mentioned now a couple of times. But changing on towards the next site, we indeed aren't heading upstairs just yet, Tim. And to keep ourselves going here on towards open area and stuff. And I do wonder if we win this one, we find ourselves going towards Tellers and Archives. It would definitely be a surprise. Very few teams choose to play there.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be the top floor will be the third choice. I don't mind. I think that, you know, the rotation is fine. We've seen teams pick this up as the second choice for a little while now. I've spoken about it a couple of times. I think it comes down to a lack of opportunities on all top floor sites. I've spoken about it on Cafe for years. I've said the same of Labs. You don't have the same roaming and extension options as defenders because it's difficult as defenders outside of having nitros. The fight upwards is pretty tough, whereas as attackers you can get down there with a Deimos, you can get underneath with a buck, you can have more of an impact from below. And so yeah, I think we're starting to see teams just move away from those top floor sites. Third choice, yeah, we'll have a do at it, but it's, you know, why go somewhere that limits us when we can go to the mid floor, still play up on the top floor as an extension, as a roam, and waste more time.
That's it. Now trying to brute force their way into this top floor. As you probably expect, there are a couple of players up here looking to waste a good chunk of time, but Candela certainly help. Dockerby phone calls certainly help, and a blitz certainly helps as well. Every day looking to lead the charge, spearhead his team in here. Hope to catch anyone out that's still upstairs, but little do they know, Tim, they've all fallen away. Of course, we have that wonderful blessing of outlines. They do not. Be a little bit unfair if they did, but everyone has now dropped away from Virtus.pro. They're back inside sight, Tim, inside 60, 75 seconds. Feels a lot like round one here, where they're giving quite a lot of time towards Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons need to use it a little bit better, though. Need to make sure that they're not giving them anything for free this time. You wonder, you know, had Leak Effect not taken that down on the hatch, would it have been a slightly different outcome on the battle that he had down the hatch or not? This time they need to make sure that they're not giving him that opportunity. Straight in now, Solitov is going to start searching through those gaps that he's opened up. We can see the work that the boogie drone has done. Nothing does verticals like those boogie drones. They really do rip through it and put some serious holes in the ground. It's going to be Leak Effect peeking around here, just looking for mainstays. I think they're aware of the Mozzie. We're going to see. I like that teamwork. The Blitz is chasing him down. Does he know there's two there? Needs to be very, very careful here. And it's no surprise to see him backing up. Absolutely beautiful, though. Takes the opportunity. Takes the opportunity of the Nitro coming out to get the kill onto the Mozzie. And that is going to be, I don't know if it was Passion throwing an impact nade that just looked like the Nitro had exploded. Users manages to find the... I'm being optimistic, Des. Users manages to find the kill onto Passion 4 versus 2 as VP start fighting back with Naquo.
And their best at the very least, but again, it's a number of advantage coming in at it. They've just rolled over those last two. Not quite the best. And given the bans that we were speaking about earlier, I wouldn't be surprised to see us retry that site again here. But they did get absolutely rolled over. It'll be very ballsy on the side of Virtus.pro to do so. Really good attack from Falcons, and I think probably more in line with what we expected back in round one, when it felt like they were starting to build a little bit of control, a bit of advantage with the sends, but couldn't quite get the diffuser down. Obviously, ultimately did. Just couldn't quite win out that 1 versus 2 in the close, but Falcons once again building back towards what we saw on Club.
Yeah, I just want to have a look at Falcons' defensive rate. Obviously, we've spoken about Bank being one of the tougher maps to defend. They've got a 48% win rate across the last 5 times they've played this. So that's not bad, really, at a half and half. It does leave them kind of needing 4 on the attack, realistically, if they want to win this in regulation. But if they get 3, they can maybe look further down the line, look towards overtime, possibly. But we look at Virtus.pro's side. Virtus.pro's side, they're down at like 60% on the defensive win rate. So 3-3 or better for Falcons. at least it's
10
chipping
seconds
away
left
at what
before
Virtus.pro have
insertion.
done previously. At least it's chipping away, you know, at their historic
seconds
record
left.
here, and they're not going to maybe have as good a day as they think. So I think 3-3 is an absolute bare minimum for Falcons on the attack. 4-2 is really got to be where they're looking.
Well, you'd hope, Tim, but let's see how they can build up towards it. It's a bit of a mixed bag so far. I mean, admittedly, 2 good attacks from Falcons, just one that ultimately Virtus.pro came out on top of. Can't forget there's that second team in the game that have every opportunity to fight back and do a little bit of damage, especially with a frustrating round like this one coming up. I'm looking in towards that clash when I say that. I'm looking in towards the electro claws that need to be taken off those walls. And of course, we've already seen what Dan can do a couple of times today with that DMR. Has even banned away against him at one point. So you know that it's a threat the other side has to respect. Falcons, a few obstacles to work through first and foremost. Starting themselves out as you might expect on the windows. The pressure coming in towards ATMs and on this long window. I expect to see Leakafak up here at some point too, making use of the Habana pellets to get this wall opened up that we spoke about right back during the banning phase.
Yeah, it's going to be your only opportunity. You've got to get it done now, because I think Habana will be the next ban that comes in, because she's just so useful on bank for those hatches as well. We have seen Falcons bringing along the Mavericks, so they're certainly not scared of the Habana ban coming in when it comes to the hatches. But this is good work so far, actually. A lot of pressure towards the top square. Going to start getting that wall opened up in towards Janitor as well. We've got the air jab out to prevent the clash coming around and making a nuisance of themselves. So lots of work being done, but unfortunately, Doom finds himself down. Virtus.pro looking okay at the minute. They're under a lot of pressure, but they're standing up to it well.
Looking to try and bite with this DMR again at range. Just such a nuisance to deal with. I think he's in a spot where if you can find one here and start to equalize things out, comes out 5 versus 3 and finish off Doom, either or be pretty good at this point. Anyone trying to go to get him here? Leakafak is nearby and wants to get him up, I think. They've got rid of Sky, so Tim, that's pretty crucial. Doom for now still dug in. Leakafak clearly not fully comfortable enough to be able to go for this revive. And you now have a chance to do so. He's got the cover coming in from Solotov too, and they've got the drone downstairs. He should be able to get him up, but no! Taken out by Nako around. That seemed to be the golden chance, but no. They've used him as baits him a little bit. They've finished off Leakafak. They've now got Solotov too. Doom's about to bleed out. This is looking like a Virtus.pro round.
Yeah, it's perfect for Virtus.pro. You've still got Breeder out on the windows, the fuser in hand. There'll be very little chance that he can get inside from there. Doom will eventually die out, so that leaves us now in a solid 2 versus 4 with a clash on the board. Dear, oh dear, we're going to see the electricity taken offline. No choice for users other than to just try and get aggressive there. The Shield of Clash does get taken out with the Gon 6 by Breeder, but it's more than likely too little too late. 20 seconds left to go, and they're just going to keep taking pot shots at him now. Virtus.pro are going to be up 2-1. Solotov does manage to pick up Pasha from beyond the grave. A little Claymore kill as Pasha goes out for a jump out onto the windows. It's going to be the clash. It's going to be Nako who picks up that final kill. Virtus.pro 2-1.
I wouldn't be shocked to see the clash being banned away, truthfully, as well, because we know how much of a nuisance can be. We've seen it time and time again over the last couple of days. These two teams played it against each other an awful lot yesterday, and it was so effective at wasting a lot of time. That going away, probably with the Habana, would make sense, but then they also can't play top floor again until round 6. Maybe it's a little bit of a waste of time. All right, there we go. So they are locking that in. The Azami, I don't blame them for. We spoke about this back on the last map. I think it's a very worthwhile ban because Virtus.pro do play it every single round.
Yeah, I think as Army, you could ban everywhere. It's just, you know, there's always going to be value. As Army, Mirror, those two particularly, you could just ban them absolutely everywhere. Now then, this is an interestingly timed tactical timeout coming in from Falcons. Obviously, the coach can talk during the half time with the banning phase and things, and during the banning phase as well, sorry. So they've had the opportunity there to have a little bit of a chat. It's not been taken, so just deciding that they need a little bit longer here. Tack time out.
I'd say we've seen it a couple of times already. Like, it's not super uncommon, especially given they're on the attacking side, as we've spoken about a few times tonight. It's a chance to address what's gone wrong in round 1 and in round 3. Despite getting the entry in every single round, of course, they have lost those two, so there's work to do. Round 1, you can kind of point down and say, okay, look, we lost the clutch. It shouldn't have been that close. It is what it is. That third round was definitely more of a car crash because they had lobby control. They had 2 players on windows and 2 pushing in from square. As soon as they lose the Nomad going down at range, which really shouldn't be happening anyway, you should know your angles at that spot. it started to fall apart. They got a little bit static, and that is when Virtus.pro started to look to go aggressive, pushing the clash out towards Square, looking to capitalize and be aggressive on the defense that we called for so many times. So it was good opportunity spotting by them.
Located by
Falcons
attackers.
probably need to be a little bit more decisive about what it is that they're trying to do. Attacking back into that downstairs once again. Let's see if this one can be a bit more of a decisive affair rather than requiring a 1v1 clutch to end the round out in favor of Virtus.pro.
Falcons are in a position now where I feel like they need at least
10
a
seconds to
2-1
insertion.
over the next 3 rounds. Really, I think it needs to be a 3-0
5
probably
seconds
if they
remaining.
want to avoid overtime. I think 2-1 gives them the opportunity to maybe get those extra rounds at the end, see what they can do. But the problem that they face there is Virtus.pro will be choosing the starting side in overtime. So, you know, they're likely to take the attack, I would have thought, at that point. So, yeah, big problems for Falcons are kind of rumbling at the minute. If Virtus.pro can get 2 out of the next 3, just repeat what they've done so far, and you've got to say that it is very much looking like a map 3. Falcons not quite as convincing here as they were on Clubhouse, I think it's fair to say.
I'd say given time though for the timeout to have its effect here. Hopefully get some cooking a little bit more. As you were saying, maybe a 4-2 would be ideal. You'd settle for a 3-3, I think. I know what I said about stats, but based on opponents involved in those games and all sorts, it can skew them either way. I was saying to Leo earlier when talking about the stats, like, you can look at one game where there's a bit of like a crazy and I remember actually one of the cafe games we had where 10 attacks were won, only 2 defenses were won. That is going to massively skew stats, for example, by a couple of percentage points that otherwise wouldn't have been skewed. Probably if not for how mental that game was and how out of the ordinary it was overall. So I don't want to lean too heavily into this being like the most attacker-sided map that we've got. I still think a 3-3 would be pretty happy for Falcons overall. They've got this top 4 control now. They know they've managed to force most players back downstairs. Now it's about trying to find what they can get inside of open area. They won't have a chance now because the last player has dropped through the hatch. All Virtus.pro players back on site once again, Tim, inside 75 seconds. They do give up a lot of ground very quickly.
And we're going to see Skies taking a lot of damage along the way as well. Not really going to have much grounds to be taking fights on, so he needs to just keep himself away, deep, safe. He's going to head towards Vault in order to do so. He's there to cover off. We'll give a little bit of support to that elevator drop should it come, but also be able to call out any main lobby attempts. As it is, don't think that's going to be what Falcons go for. They're going to be looking instead for the hatches for server, as they have done previously. Doom's just watching main stairs at the minute, aware that there could be a possibility of a flank coming up there. I don't think there's going to be, though. There's not really any need to for Virtus.pro. As Pasha manages to find Breeder through the hatch, and that is the thermite taken down. They've got no more hard breach left, so they're going to have to work with what they've got here at Falcons.
This is part of my worry that we'll have in a sense is that clock. Do you doubt yourself a little bit too much here? Do you take too long to get yourself in a good spot? Because we're coming down to that last 35. They've already lost Breeder off the back of it where Virtus.pro, yes, they're backed away, but have largely just been like, fine, we'll catch you with utilities. You come a little bit closer, no worries. One being equalized back as they managed to remove Pasha on the other side. Here we go as the smokes go on down, but still so much Chankified. No, taken out. That's a crucial kill. Nako has 19 Shumakas left, but it's down to a 2v3, Tim. Falcons struggling here to get this one over the line.
And they're going to struggle further as Dan manages to get a double. Virtus.pro get themselves round 3 for them on the board. 3-1 now. And Falcons, it's not quite, you know, crisis time, but as I said, 3-3, absolute minimum requirement for them on the attack, I think, because Virtus.pro have got some very good numbers when they get onto the second half of this, when they're going to be attacking on bank. And I think we're maybe starting to see why they picked it up here, because they could well be getting themselves a map 3 out of this one, because Falcons are going to have some serious work to do in the second half. Even if they're able to get round 6, it's still for me now the bare minimum that they were looking for.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, an uphill battle then for Falcons. It feels like it's on the way, and Virtus.pro should be the one starting to take control. And what I do like, Tim, I have optimism. I see a Skopos on side, which normally means that it's even more roaming coming. And when you see a Mutant and Mozzie combo coming out, I think about maps like Clubhouse. It's about wasting a lot of time upstairs. It's denying them the ability to use drones to ensure that top floor is clear. They have to go in, they have to nade out those mute jammers, nade out those Mozzie pests, destroy them with Twitch drones, whatever, in order to actually get intel across that top floor of the map. So I think Virtus.pro here have no option but to try and waste a lot of time from the side of Falcons.
Attackers are moving out
Especially the
to
shield
locate
as well.
a
As long as they don't get pushed from lobby, then that shell will stay there very happily and just feed information all day on any push coming in from square side. Otherwise, I imagine Dan will be the one dancing around, as you can see inside the kind of second floor now around CEO. Just looking to put threat onto the windows. They don't want to concede the verticals too early onto the attackers.
Just looking at how they're going to deal with Breeder on that blitz. What is it going to be that gives them the edge? We've actually seen quite a few recently, like head-on shotgun challenges against the Shields having a lot of effect. Particularly the SAS shotguns, particularly the big boys. They've been going in there, and we've seen a couple of times where, you know, maybe 3/4 health, the shield up against them, and one blast at a close enough range is doing the job against them. So definitely something that Naquo could help out with later in the round. Otherwise, it's going to be down largely to the Thorn gadgets, to the Razor Blooms, to try and slow down the progress. We actually see Breeder hit with one of them there, and that's just going to slow him down a little bit. But it's going to be the opening kill to Falcons. They're going to manage to take down Rorik. All the Razor Blooms had already been deployed. There were none left in pocket, so that's a good thing for them at least. Pasha has taken damage from that door. Could be Cole! And it's so easy. That's the shotgun off the board. Leak of Fact with a great kill. And Falcons looking good for their second round.
They know that Virtus.pro are going to bite back a bit on the defensive side. They've got no choice at this site, and so waiting for them to come to you is a really good option, you know, rather than walking into C4s that they did last time round. Zoom into yet another as Dan realizes he's trapped in no man's land a little bit, has to try and get out, but is exterminated as he tries. One more on electric door. Pasha might have the angle held down. He doesn't have the many others that can be pushed in from here. Top floor, he knows, is no longer in their control. The roof, of course, is not in their control. And he'll be dug in behind, at least for now. In behind that shell is Skies. One going away towards Pasha. Not great from users here. Now trying to get C4 out, but Solotov's there for the cross. Just the one left. Pasha would need an ace to get it all done. He won't find that. I think that's June with a 3K in the round as well. Falcons, very convincing in round 5.
Yeah, 2-3 now on the scoreboard. They're going to need that last round. As I said, round 6 going to be really, really important for Falcons. It's the bare minimum. Get that 3-3 split and then move on to what will be a tough defense against Virtus.pro on Bank, but it gives them a possibility at least. They could be looking at just focusing on 2 of those sites and getting them locked down. It was a nice round from them. They used the shield well. They took a lot of attention with it and were able to find kills on the back of it. So solid stuff from Falcons. We're going to see them attacking now up onto that top floor for their final round on the attack. We saw them play this in round 3. They were unable to get the win. Virtus.pro came away with it on that occasion. The clash caused them a lot of problems. Naquo was playing around the janitor's door on the corner. They just never really had an answer to it. June got downed, and it was beautifully baited out. They knew that June was down out there. They just gave Leakifak enough space. I think, you know, don't take the shots. Don't just make them feel safe enough to go in and get that collection, go and get that pickup. And as soon as he stepped in, he just got absolutely hammered. So really, really nice from Virtus.pro last time around.
And we saw this response coming out actually in the last map, if you remember, when we had Dan jumping onto the Kali, when we had the clash on the other side. And now look at what we're seeing. It's Solotov hopping onto the Kali to help try and find a way to deal with it. The one thing I said last time around that they struggled with, I thought, was they spent so much time dancing around lobby, the 2 players on the windows, the 2 that were on square. They weren't really doing much in the way of prep itself. They were almost like trying not to die in a way they were too scared. Didn't have like a super coherent game plan at the time. They were trying to figure it out. And that was when Virtus.pro thought, right, we'll go into them, then we'll push the clash out. We'll challenge at long range. This is no problem for us. I think at least here with the lineup I'm seeing coming out from Falcons, there is more of a game plan in the round. I just don't want to see them stall out and give Virtus.pro time to react.
Already cleared out the utility on Gold Stairs, so that's just going to be a little bit of pathfinding for them, giving them an option later in the round. Brilliant use of the Thatcher there, just picking up on the use of those default cams, picking out a position. Again, intel that could be found for the team, and also clearing them off the cam. Solotov manages to pick up Dan using that sniper rifle to pick him up, I would imagine, somewhere around Banana possibly, given that he was on that front-sided rappel. And now pressure is going to mount into Janitor as well, with that wall being opened up. It's going to mean, of course, that a little bit of gadgetry can go over the top.
It's about building forward from here, though, right? You've still got so much of the round to play with. Your game plan that you came in is still intact. You've got all the operators you need. You've got all the utility you could possibly need to get it done. Slow steps from this point forward. And I know I said last time around that being slow was what sort of caused them to get chewed up and spat out. They've already shown teeth here, and now Virtus.pro know, and they saw it in the last round as well, that Falcons will happily wait. They'll bait you into rotating or trying to go aggressive onto them and then punish you for it. I think the Falcons have really kind of found themselves over the last couple of rounds, especially. The Virtus.pro, they've got to make something happen. They try and make lobby work, and sure enough, there's a freebie. Likafak a little bit late to the party. They even had a call on towards Pasha. He does get away with Doom. Losing those Candelas, that's painful.
Yeah, it could be a big loss, that, especially if you're looking for a window. Plant Breeder is out there on Repel with the diffuser. You want to get inside and put the diffuser down. You really do want those flashes coming in. Solitov manages to pick up Rorik. They might be able to do this just with sheer weight of numbers now, Falcons. Skies is on the soul list, but is not below, so he's not going to be in a position to deny any Plant attempt. And Naquo, he has to come off that shield realistically now. Be in a position to take a gunfight if the opportunity presents itself. Damage done to Skies as well. I think Falcons getting a good picture now of where everybody is, although I say that, and Skies gets almost a freebie, walks around the corner. They're not really reacting quickly enough to him. Naquo manages to find Breeder as well. 4v2 becomes a 2v2, becomes a 2v1.
I'm sorry. Are they just won a 2v4 without losing a single player?
Yeah.
You can't be in that spot where you've had so much dominance all round to be in a 4v2. You've been challenged by... There's only one way you can go. He's challenged you through the wall. He can either round off towards the left or back in towards site, where he has no idea who's in Janitor and could pay the price for it. Has no idea what's on Windows, so could pay the price for it. And they just give free kills away all day long. That is pretty perplexing for Falcons. Well played, admittedly, to Virtus.pro. Let's go over to the desk and see what they think.
What an incredible turnaround that was. Oh my god, a 2v4 we saw there. You guys okay?
France is not having a good time at the minute.
France is trolling in many ways today. I felt like the game plan for Falcons was the right one, though. I felt like they were using the same thing they used on Clubhouse. They keep bringing the KB, they keep bringing the Grim, they keep bringing the Ying. They're trying to play the cheesy ups to try and break down VP's defenses.
Not just the cheesy ups, but cheesy entry engagements as well. Let's take a look.
Angles.
Let's take a look, because some of these angles I don't think you see all that often.
Look at that.
If we still did it, would be the detail, because actually June very, very nearly got a kill by proning and punching a bag to get an angle all the way through. Gets 2 shots, 3 shots out there, and fortunately doesn't kill. And then a double repel on the south skylight. When do you see that? When do you see that with a Ying?
Double repel
games, gets Likafak a kill. It's what?
In our ranked games.
In our ranked games, maybe. And I was a little bit. I was wondering why VP might bring Bank out and why other teams might look at this. But I think you'd look at this from Falcons and you'd go, they're playing fast and loose. They're playing a lot of these initiator ops. I think if we see them play this map at the major, at EWC, it could well be very different. I think they've got an appreciation that this is the grand final. They still do need to protect certain aspects of their game. However, that being said, that 4 versus 2 is unforgivable to losing that one in the final round, regardless.
It's going to be the reason why we might go to a third map instead of a 2-0 for Falcons. That one round. Because if they win it, it's 3-3, they're fine, they move on to the defense, and they can get proactive again. I think that one round, the fact they lose that 4v2, the way they did it as well, giving full 1v1s, that's the kind of mistakes you don't see from Falcons usually.
And the fact of the matter is as well, Bank is a pretty attacker-sided map. People love attacking it. I think Des said globally it was pretty high up there in terms of the attack win rate as well. So I think the fact that VP have ended up 4-2 up whilst defending, of course, you're always going to get the basement defense. That's always going to be strong. But open area and top floor, there's so many operators that can deal with those now. So you would expect the attack to have the advantage. So VP already got the advantage from their defenses, and they go on to the preferable side now.
Flash ban is quite big, though. I think, Ace ban, we see that so often. Could be Hibana ban following up that.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Hibana. I think if you ban Ace on that map, you ban Hibana afterwards. Just make sure you keep your Kanto will closed.
It would make sense.
Yep. It will also make sense that, if you kill 5 players, then you also win the game.
Yeah, Rorik.
Just 5 fraggers.
Absolute genius.
Boom, Hibana. There we go.
No surprises?
No surprises. Clash and Mira, super powerful on both sides. Mira especially on the basement. I like it. It's all the classic.
The only one thing that I would say is actually Clash leaves his army open. Where's Azami strong? Azami's strong on the top floor because you play it inside of, what do you call it? Paper, inside of stock room. And then if you play an open area, you play the Azami inside the kitchen as well. So when we get to those bomb sites, that operator for at least the first 2 defenses on those sites will be available.
Maybe that is what Falcons need to close out the series here. But as you said, it is rather attacker favorite. So Virtus.pro, a great chance to tie up the series.
Well, let's see how we do then, shall we? It looks like Virtus.pro could crack on here, Tim, as long as they've got some real good attacking chops about them here on Bank, and they're taking away 2 of the big problem operators, fair to say. in the Clash and the Mirror should leave things a little more open to work through, though. As we saw back on map 1, Falcons, they don't mind running things like the Castle. They've run Yokai a couple of times. They've run the Yokais of the Echo a couple of times. They've run the Go canisters. There are still things to work through, but I feel two of the bigger headache-inducing operators are gone.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
Certainly. No two ways about that. And we've just seen how effective Clash can be. You know, Clash was part of that 2v4 win at the end of round 6. And so, yeah, definitely getting rid of that is going to be helpful to Virtus.pro. And this is a big round. This is a big round. If Virtus.pro can come in, they've got a very good attacker win rate here on Bank. If we have a look at what it's been over the last couple of maps, there's only 2 maps to go at, but they've won 63% of their attacks. So they are on course, normally speaking, for a 4-2 half as a minimum. So, yeah, I think, look, this first round, Falcons have to send a message. They've gone to a strong site. They're down in the basement. We've already got this work being done above, because what we've seen is Leakafak has castled himself inside of Tellers and Archives. He's not going to be giving that up. He's not going to be getting challenged from main lobby side. So they're going to have to clear him out, because he's there to try and challenge onto Square so that they can't put pressure onto the server player.
Sure, but it's the same conversations we had as before, right? It's all about making sure you get as much control across the map as you possibly can.
Beautiful.
That's a beautiful little bit of bait out of Zolotar, to be fair to him. Basically said, yeah, you have it for free, but not really, psych. So getting rid of the striker, admittedly, isn't maybe the end of the world. His main use case was to help get that hatch opened up. Otherwise, I could turn towards Pasha and Dan to help them with hatches. Don't forget, that was only the entry into the second floor. We're not actually defending on the first floor. We're down in the basement. That's the kind of aggression that I wanted to see out of Virtus.pro back in the first half, is playing more around the map and really leaning in towards them. Yes, they got the 4 rounds in the end, but I really would like to see them push up a little bit harder and be more aggressive in towards the attackers. Either way, as it stands, they've got to try and get this done with 1 player less.
Yeah, it was great stuff from Sal. Just showing the little bit of a weakness of those secondary hard breach gadgets, because you have to be stood right next to it. As once it's, you know, it starts going immediately, you can only move so far, and they were punished really, really well with that Nitro. Pasha will continue to deploy that. He's just going to wait for the auto canister to wear off, and then that'll open up. But it is mostly pressure towards servers at the minute. This is going to be all servers and hatchers. Falcons have done some good work to delay that, to get a kill along the way. Look at the time. There's only 40 seconds left to go. They haven't got the breach into site itself yet. The hatch is only just going now. And we've got Yokais on the cards. It's going to be very, very difficult when you've got Vulcan canisters to play through as well.
And 3 smokes still to go, 25 seconds. This is like dream territory if you're Falcons right now. They're going to have to go deep. They're going to have to force their way through. And that is, like you say, waiting for the fire to still expire. And then you've got to deal with Yokais. Falcons have just got every tool. If they lose this, I will have no words. They have to win this.
Neko's getting the plant down, is it? The bullets are bouncing off his shield. He's got nerves of steel at the minute. Nothing has been done about it. And the plant is successful. 4v2. Virtus.pro don't care about your utility. They don't care about your denial and your time wasted. They're going to get the job done anyway. The shield on the back saved Neko's life.
Wow.
Got the plant down, and Virtus.pro come away with the win. Falcons are in big trouble on Bank.
I said I'd be speechless, Tim. And I'm sat here pretty speechless. In what world do you have Yokais, 3 smokes, fire still burning out in front of you with 20 seconds on the clock, and you still managed to lose the round? Granted, Virtus.pro played it really well. The one thing that they did there that worked out well for them was they were laying down fire from range through the server side wall, just directly in towards the corridor. So if Brady did step out, there was a very, very good chance there he was toast. He would just find himself getting shot in the head, and it wouldn't matter how many smokes they had left in back pocket. That's why I think the ones that he was throwing kept on hitting on towards like the desk and the roof, was he couldn't properly aim the angle to get it down onto the full plant spot, and they managed to get away with it. Really well done by Virtus.pro, but Falcons will be kicking themselves. They really shouldn't have been losing that.
I think much as Fresh said about round 6, you know, losing the 4v2, that's potentially the difference between winning and losing Bank. I think you can add round 7 to that list. I think, you know, if they lose this now, they're going to come away and they're going to look at round 6 and 7, and they're going to say that's where it could have been particularly different outcome, because yeah, that's both of those really are rounds that should not be getting lost. Neko has done a great job there to find the space, and he's had some serious nerve to hold on to that. I know it sounds silly, so, you know, it's just holding F. What does it really, you know, it's you just hold it, and if it if it works, it works. But there's just that massive urge, especially when you've got a shield on your back and the bullets are bouncing off it. It'll have been taking little bits of chip damage as well as one maybe snuck underneath and hit a photo, and it just makes you feel like you need to reposition, or you need to move, or you need to come off and fight. And he just didn't. Absolutely stuck it, saw it through. It was a real hero move. June manages to pick up Rorik. That's a bit of a hero move as far as Falcons are concerned. Taking the thermite off the board. There is no hard breach at all for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, good kill from Defined as well. I think popped his head out the bottom of the square and then just very happily disappeared back into the map. Worked his way upstairs now to look to support his team. My only worry was we're having this conversation last round when they were in a 5 vs 4. I was like, great, sit back, play behind the utility. There's no problem. Psych. There was a lot of problems still to follow, Tim, as we saw in the execute itself. And so I can't get excited for Falcons just yet. Especially given it is such a critical round as well. They could be behind 6-2 if they fall shy of this one, in which case, yeah, Lair is going to be the demand to see who wears the crown come the end of the evening. Sophia, shock horror, Tim being a window player here with lots of utility to burn his way through. Castle barricades, laser gates, doesn't matter. He's got all the tools for the job.
Could have a straight up 7-2 response here. Of course, Falcons winning Clubhouse 7-2. It could be the same for Virtus.pro. We're going to see one go down though. Pasha manages to pick up Doom. 4 versus 4 as Snakewar on the shield will continue to try and take this attention, cause the distractions. It's Skies elsewhere on the window rappel with diffuser in hand. There's a minute left to go. Reader inside of Janitor, gonna send out that toxic babe canister, forces Snakewar back again. We'll continue to see he has eaten an unbelievable amount of damage in the last 2 days from nitros and toxic babe canisters. One either way, 3 versus 3. Solitov the last to be taken down. Skies makes it a double. That's not ideal. Dan takes down Naquo and then is downed himself. It's all up to Skies.
Oh, come
2
on.
needs to become 4. That's the triple. 1v1 now, Des. 30 seconds left for him to go.
It's like I said, I can't get too excited, Tim. I might be able to if they get away with this, but sees his man. Can't quite hit the shots, rounding his way, but no, Brede. Back to his old form, being a clutch god that he can be sometimes, gets Falcons the round. 3-5, though. They've still got a deficit to close.
I don't know what happened there with Dan and Naquo, but it was an absolute disaster in the round for Virtus.pro. Dan hits his own man, takes the shield down, and then gets downed as well. I assume they've just got caught up in a flurry of bullets there and maybe a bit of an unexpected gunfight, or having to challenge an angle that they didn't see a problem coming from. But ultimately, it cost them the round. It left Skies in the 1v2, low health. He almost pulled it off, but just couldn't quite get it done. Yeah, there we go. Naquo maybe just getting a little bit aggressive there, just a bit too much movement. Strafes in front of his man when he's having to challenge Janitor rotation. We've all done it. It's a tough one. It's just sometimes you don't always see when the call has been made for the blitz to go in and aggress. Things change in a heartbeat and you just can't communicate quick enough to call it off.
If they hadn't bottled it in the prior round to that one, Tim, it would have been 4-4 right now. Falcons would be on course, it feels, to... 1, show that Bank isn't all about the attacking side. You can do an awful lot on the defense. 2, on their way to getting a 2-0. But as things go, I've already said it's a 2-round deficit. They still need to close up here. See if they can do it. They head in towards open. This time around, it'll be more of the same, I expect, in terms of the vertical start that we're going to have from Virtus.pro. Get in there, force the players back that are currently on top floor. There's 3 of them up there so far. What I will say is, based on that, compared to the first half, Falcons have been more resilient or more resistant towards Virtus.pro. They wanted to hold a lot more ground. Good bit of work being done by Dan with the shot drone there as well. Taking that, what, 3 gadgets on his chair on through. The initial charge that you start off with, not so bad at all. But I also hate that from Brede later on, dropping down that Malusi gadget in place. Of course, couldn't be destroyed by Dan as he rolled on through, but it means they might not quite know it's there, and it's good information. Someone comes in through that window as a vault, they know immediately because that Banshee's going to start screaming.
And it'll start screaming sooner. The patch that we've seen today does have a small change for Malusi. Very, very small. It's just the activation radius for the Banshee has gone from 4 meters up to 4.3 meters. So just slightly bigger range of detection for that gadget. But I mean, you mentioned Des there that, you know, round 7, the last round, it could be 4-4 at this point rather than 5-3. Honestly, there's an argument where, don't forget round 6, it could be 5-3 to Falcons realistically. Solitov does manage to pick up Rorik. That's a great start for them. The Grim is gone. really good utility burn there from Falcons by taking him down. 5 versus 4, and we've seen 2 toxic babe canisters come out. That could be a factor for Falcons. It's very early in the round for Leakifact to be burning through those.
C4, not a bad shout. Again, Necro says must be the most C4 player in EML this stage. I wish I could find the stats on that somewhere. I won't be able to, but it'll be very, very amusing to find out. Dan starting out with a long-range one as well, the DMR. Not the F2 in this round, doing a bit of work. Things down to about that 4 versus 4 point again. I'll come back to what I've said across the last couple of rounds, though. I still feel nervous when Falcons have a man advantage because they've shown that they can't quite keep things ahead. Now they are definitely at a man disadvantage. 4v3 for Virtus.pro. A trade there from Doom. Not too bad. A range at the same time, too. Good stuff. Eustace going for a challenge, but almost losing his life off the back of it. He'll be able to keep himself going for now and slink his way down and towards the basement. Keep an eye on him because he could be a little bit of a problem later on if if Virtus.pro wrongly assume that he's got himself back in sight.
Yeah, if he reappears up those blue stairs and on a little bit of a backstab, like you say, could be a round winner. Aquo is going to be playing towards the hatch in stock. Boogie drone goes out, just try and create a little bit of space. Aquo looking to see if he can see anything, if he can provide any intel to his teammates. Users has made his way. He's still kind of hovering around those main stairs for the time being. Drop comes in. Are they able to deal with the blitz? He's just trying to create that extra distance. Skies manages to find Breedy, but there's one. They can't deal with the blitz at the minute, but Users does. 2 versus 1. No choice for Skies but to try and stick it or lose the round. Doesn't matter that they came flying in at the end. They were concerned about a plant going down, but Falcons grabbed themselves 2 in a row on defense, and we've got ourselves a game. It's 4-5 now. Falcons just 1 round behind.
I think it's very easy to look at that closing moment as well and just think, oh, why didn't he try and stick the diffuser? I don't think he realized necessarily they ran upstairs, expected both to come flooding in through that double door to try and force a trade onto him as he was planting, or to get the kills when the time was at 0. And he would have been right because the Goyo came charging on through, just didn't realize the second player had already headed upstairs and was waiting for that timer to hit 0 or maybe to get the vertical angle down. So smart play there to close things out from Falcons. Bans come on through. It's going to be Thatcher and the Echo taken away. A Thatcher ban coming in against Virtus.pro team. I know we joked about it a little bit yesterday with how dismal they were on one of the maps and using it, but I'm not surprised because they have made good use of the operator a lot throughout the last couple of days.
Yeah, they are. You know, we see that it's popular for them to use. You know, like I said, there's a couple of rounds there yesterday where I'd look and say, maybe don't bother banning it, get playing it. But yeah, overall, we have seen they've more than made amends for that over the last couple of days, today in particular. But we're going to go down to the basement then. It's the only site on the attack that Virtus.pro have been able to win so far. So Falcons going to have to mix things up a little bit. We're going to see them bringing along the Tachanka this time. Last time it was reliant on Echo, Goyo and Smoke for that area denial, for that plant denial. This time they've still got the Smoke, they've still got the Goyo, but instead of the Echo, it is going to be the Tachanka. So the big question always when playing Tachanka down in this basement site is, can you keep the Tachanka safe? Breedy is likely to play his shield in front of himself, so he's got the angle that he needs to fire off the default plant spot, but when you play in that Tachanka position, your biggest concerns, your biggest fears are elevator, they are vault, and they are main stairs. Any challenges coming from those areas can be really, really tough for you to deal with. So his teammate needs to make sure that they're picking up the slack there, that they're not letting anybody challenge him from those positions. Also, the Sophia of Dan going to be able to just blast that shield away. As soon as that happens, big trouble. They don't have the Jaeger, they don't have the Wamai. I don't think they've got the support to make this Tachanka work.
Brace for it!
They think it might be enough. I guess we'll find out.
That's big, though.
I mean, that certainly helps him. Again, let's calm down. It's 5v4. We've seen a bunch of these bottled away so far. Solly's almost gone down here too. Still looking to change challenge now, drops away. That's not bad, actually. They've got a little bit of damage onto Naco and have got themselves away. What I was going to say is, last time round, back in round 7, they only ran the smoke, and we saw what pressure came in towards Breedy. He couldn't actually get the proper lineup to get the smoke down onto the full plant. What does a Shanka do? Lets you bounce things off ceilings and all kinds of mad stuff. And so in that case, why not stick it? I'm sure it'll work out just fine. As long as, like you say, they can protect him, and I think with that entry kill on towards down, well, they'll certainly remove one more risk, one more threat on Breedy's life.
Not reinforced. That's big as well. Naquo goes down.
Stealed.
And you're now in a position, because it's 3 versus 5, how do you challenge the Tachanka? You know, I was talking about all these other areas. I was just going to be a little bit critical and say they've not reinforced elevator hatch. They do have one reinforcement left, and they haven't reinforced it, so it's kind of easy to breach it and get down there and start pressuring that Tachanka. Like I say, the most vulnerable spots for that Tachanka feels like elevator, vault, and main stairs. They are going to open it now, but with only a 3v5, it means that they can put a little bit less focus towards that server side, and they can look now towards elevator. Falcons have got the man over. There you go. Doom can take the risk. He can take the fight. He takes down Rorik. 5 versus 2. This has been really, really nice from Falcons, and it was all built on Doom's entry kill onto the Sophia, because it has changed how Virtus.pro have had to play the round, because they can't play into the Tachanka.
They've tried to force them to. I'll give it to them. It looks like they've just lost a bunch of 1v1s, and to be fair, they have. What they've tried to do is force players down blue, for example, into different parts of the map, just to make something happen and hopefully catch the other side off guard. But as we've seen, Falcons were a little bit too prepped, Tim. It's starting to feel like Clubhouse did yesterday as well. That's 3 rounds on the bounce. They've now won. On Clubhouse yesterday, Virtus.pro were up 5-2. That's how things sat at round 7. Now that we're back down to 5-4, Virtus.pro, they're hitting the panic buttons, Tim.
Yeah, tactical timeout as we head just into round 11 very soon. 2 rounds left to go, and only one of these teams is now going to get an opportunity to grab this map in regulation, and you wouldn't bet against Falcons at the minute, because they've got some serious momentum. 3 rounds in a row, so they've effectively won all sites on their rotation, and they're going to go back to top floor, I would imagine, next time around. That's going to be the one available to them, and they can just try to start rinsing and repeating. They still need 2 more defenses. It's not going to be easy, but we did see them, as you say, 5 in a row on Clubhouse yesterday. What are Virtus.pro saying here? What is, you know, I think you can write off that last round a little bit. As you said, there was a lot of 1v1s. There was a lot of trying to force things. I think had they kept the Zofia, had they not lost Dan in that entry battle to Doom, you don't get to pick them, but it was perfect for Doom, because I think if they don't lose that entry battle and they still have the Zofia on board, there is then a concentrated push from Virtus.pro to get server control. But it wasn't worth, I don't think, the utility and possibly the lives it would have cost then to take server control, because they knew that they were playing into Breedy on Tachanka with a shield in front of him, and they knew they had nothing to be able to realistically take that away. It was always going to be a problem for them. You know, there was a couple of bits, maybe that you've got to cap it out, maybe you can put some fire, but it's going to be so difficult to do that effectively versus the Sophia, who could just take a quick peek, bang, shield gone, and all of a sudden Breedy's got a real problem trying to play. It's something we've seen Virtus.pro do loads of times when we had Tachanka being like wildly popular in that position. Virtus.pro were the ones who kind of pioneered that. Just get in there, push, take the shield out, and on you go. And so, yeah, I think that just changed the whole round for them. And then, like you said, they just get baited into these 1v1s, just trying to force things. Plan A was gone, didn't really have a coherent plan B, and Falcons took full advantage.
The funny thing is, I mean, both teams have played against the identical style as the other. They like both playing aggressively on the entry, you know, but on the defensive side, they know they have to control large parts of the map, and then the reasons why they lose is that they're either overcommitting towards that aggression, or they're falling back a little bit too soon, like we've seen Virtus.pro do a couple of times. Here, Falcons have just played really, really sensibly in that they've had early aggression, but also had the tools to then be able to hold on site in case things do go awry. Could they have held on in a 4 versus 5, for example, with Smoke and Tachanka? Absolutely. So I think what Virtus.pro needs to really do is read in towards that. More importantly, start playing as a unit in the early round. Don't feel like you have to spread out so far. It's the same thing that cost Falcons on their top floor attack back in the first half, was because they were trying to do too much. So I like here how Nakro said, right, I'm on the shield, we're playing around this, we've got a second shield coming along with Rorik. Tighten things up to here, boys. Back on drones, work as a team.
They've done some serious work here trying to find the Valkyrie cameras in main lobby with the Twitch drone, but it just goes to show main lobby is such a big location. It's very, very difficult to find them. Solitov opens things up. That's the Grim taken down. Sky's on window. Forward. 5 versus 4. I think it will be. Sky's played on the windows consistently last time, and they haven't found this Valcam. So Falcons well aware that the Monte is going to be working his way up gold stairs. Nitro goes out. Not going to quite find its mark. Nick eats another one.
And another one. That one doesn't quite go as deep as it needs to, though. Yeah, like, So to go to the point I was saying, like, I don't know why Skies is trying to necessarily get aggressive on the window there. And like, I get he wants to punish someone, right? But all you've really got assisting you is a Monty pushing up lobby stairs. He doesn't soak all the attention because someone else on the side of Falcons might have said, hey, don't worry, I've got the Monty, I'm watching him, we've got a C4 in case he goes too deep. Watch elsewhere, and then just ping Skies off the window, no problem. They really need some supported aggression like this. Play off the back of the Monty, and Pasha finds just that. Virtus.pro still in with a chance.
Yeah, Yusuf really trying to get some work done there. June from underneath, though, takes down Pasha. 3 versus 2, however, as Virtus.pro managed to fight their way back in. Brede there. It's just been so stoic throughout this game. Always the last line of defense for his team. Rorik takes him down, though, and this is not a pretty situation for June. Low health and up against 2 shields. Naquo's going to start putting the plant down. He misses his opportunity. It's absolutely fractional, but that was the one he needed to find. He takes him down. The diffuser's down 10 seconds. There's 10 seconds to go.
All he's got to do is hide here, and enough, sure enough, that's exactly what he'll try and do. He knows, surely, that Rorik is coming. He's just got to win the fight. Rorik's the full sprint. Who comes out on top? Sure enough, it's going to be the Goyo June. We said it yesterday, Tim. June Bellingham scores when he needs to. Falcons up to map and series point off the back of a 4 rounds win streak. This is looking magical.
This cannot be happening again to Virtus.pro. Falcons have been unreal the last few rounds. Doom, I think there's a bit of luck involved there. He's 1v2 against 2 shields. Look, we said it in round 6, we said it in round 7. There were 2 rounds that Virtus.pro should never have been allowed to win, but Falcons threw them, they gave them away, and look, it obviously has just been paid back to them because there is no way that Falcons should be winning that round. It just should not be possible. Virtus.pro have nobody to blame but themselves. And at the end, the Blackbeard chooses not to go for the plant. Obviously, it's difficult because you leave yourself in that situation whereby, yeah, you can just be picked up as the final kill comes in. But you've got to make a choice, I guess. He went for the kill. There's nothing wrong with that, but he just couldn't get himself into stock quickly enough. Couldn't chase Doom down. And it's going to be Falcons with match and series and EML grand final point, but they only get 1 chance.
Well, the thing is, Tim, I'm looking down the stats that we've got here, and they've had the entry, what, 1, 2, 7 rounds in a row now. They've won 4 in a row.
Game.
That's it. The crazy thing is they've won 2 clutches during that time. In round 8, it was Brede's 1 versus 3. We had Doom a second ago winning out that 1 versus 2. They are relying on moments of heroics, but those are also opportunities given to them by Virtus.pro. Can't really complain at all about how Falcons have defended here. They've looked absolutely excellent. And again, as you heard the Death saying at the start of this map, I imagine there are a lot of teams at EWC will be licking their lips and getting to watch how this game has played out. And what a treat it has been.
Going to be open area for the final regulation time defensive round from Falcons. They won it. They've won everywhere. They won it back in round 9. The lineup is the same. So they're going to be playing... Oh, no, it's not quite the same. They've got Mute instead of the Smoke this time. So they don't quite have the same denial. Mute is going to be useful, actually, against that Deimos coming along. Mossy gets targeted, but is he able to find himself? Yeah, he's got to run away, surely. He's just going to keep challenging it. Falcons are feeling it at the minute. I was wondering if Solotov was going to go and try and find himself a Mute jammer to step into, but he didn't.
Let's proceed.
Hey, Doom. He's waiting for him just to stick his head above the parapet. The tiniest bit, but it's Rorik who rounds and gets rid of him instead. Won't have another round of terror as he has done quite a lot over the last 4. Falcons instead are going to have to make it do with the 4 that they've still got standing here. It was more that as he got trapped out, he couldn't stay and play the C4, else he would 100% get shot through the flooring. So instead stepped away towards the hard pillar of the wall and played behind that, so Deimos couldn't just one-tap him through a wall. So it was the right call. He still holds onto the ground. It has to be respectful of what Pasha is looking to do. He'll have another track available in a moment as well. But look at this leaky fat. This is big balls. Looks towards the main stairs, surely, and gets rid of Rorik. You'd never expect that to come. Pasha does pop up there from around ATMs and gets the response. He's been there all round. Admittedly, it's where he was challenging on towards Solotov earlier. 1 for 1, though, and it's the Ying offline.
That is a move that will be judged at the end of this round as to whether it was heroic or whether it was just playing crazy, whether it's hurt his team or whether it's won the round. 4 versus 3 now. VP, 40 seconds left to go. They know that there's one towards the basement. Skies finds users. This is an opportunity to push that here. They know that they've got only one there. And that is surely going to be us going to a few extra 30 seconds left to go. The fight back is on, but it's not enough. And we're going to overtime, Des.
Was nervous for a second, then I saw Brede in the 1v4 and thought, well, he could actually make this happen if he really wants to. But no, Virtus.pro do manage to get the business done, and it was all that play around lobby as well, dealing with Doom early on, the aggression coming out of Leakafact. This is what I was speaking about earlier on in finding the balance, you know, being over-aggressive on that early round aggression and paying the price for it versus being too defensive, as we've seen both teams be at points and giving the other team a way back into the round. Either way, we get to see 3 more rounds of this madness, Tim. I can't tell you which way it's going to go. Falcons certainly have had the advantage. If they start on the defense, then things are looking good. It really depends which side I believe Virtus.pro will have chosen to go to. Because they'll have chosen the map, Falcons get to choose in regulation, and Virtus.pro get to pick in OT. They choose defense.
Oh, that's interesting. I was thinking that they may well have picked attack, given their attacking prowess on bank. But no, they've gone with the defense, and that actually plays right into their hands, because so far it's been 4-2 defensive halves. Falcons able to get round 8 through 11, and so Virtus.pro might just have found themselves an advantage here as we head into round 13. Just a reminder of the bans that are in place. So the way that works is when we go into overtime, the full 3 bans that were picked on that relevant side will be in place. So they will change round to round depending on whether you're on attack or defense. So as it stands, Virtus.pro have banned out Monty the Ace, and the Hibana Falcons have taken away the Mirror Castle and Azami. Falcons on the attack, and they will be attacking into the basement. Have a look at how that went. It was won 2 out of 2 times by Virtus.pro, round 1, round 4. Fairly comfortable.
Uh-oh. You worry a little bit for them here as to whether or not they'll be able to get it over the line, Falcons. But as you also say, Tim, 3rd time's the charm. They've lost 2 out of 2. Maybe the 3rd one is where then gets to get away with something. Doom immediately up towards this top floor again, looking to force these players on the side of Virtus.pro back. A main complaint before was within 75 seconds, every player was back on site. Here, there's 3 of them currently playing off site, and Pasha has overstayed his welcome on the top floor, kind of proving why he needs to get back towards site pretty quickly sometimes. He's lost his life, and I'll say it again. It's Falcons in a 5 versus 4. I don't want to get too excited just yet.
Yeah, the entry kills continue to go Falcons' way. It's astronomical, to be fair. I don't remember the last time I saw such a consistent entry performance for any one team. Out of 13 rounds, it is 11-2 in favour of Falcons. Virtus.pro showing an unbelievable ability to play in 4v5s today, because if they hadn't, they would have been long beaten by now. But I'm sure that level of pressure and intensity from Falcons will start to take its toll on Virtus.pro. The question is, will it be here on bank, or is the difficulty going to find and catch up with them on layer? Right now, we are halfway through the round. We're about to start work on the hatches from Falcons. They've got the hard breach charges, so it should be fairly quickly dealt with. They are now just looking to soften up that server side and push.
Yeah, and of course, I have the information with the Solus as to when the plant is going down. They could well trigger Naqo into getting that fire out. But now June is creeping his way forward. Brede, the one who no doubt is looking for the plant here, of course, on the Yin, can yeet a couple of those Candelas in deep and then look to make it happen. Could at least for a couple of seconds look to blind out the other side, but I feel like they need that long angle open. Don't forget what worked for Virtus.pro was opening up the server side single wall and then using that to get the long angles down towards corridor, in towards a Chanka or a smoke that was sat a little bit further back. They need an answer with the shield in front of his face. It's going to have to be main stairs where this pressure now starts to build.
Yeah, if you remember what I said about that Chanka position, one of your main concerns is main stairs, and we see Naqo reacting to that. He does have enough canisters to burn out both for the remainder of this round. He just needs to be careful about his reloads and about how and when he deploys them, but he should be able to make it last. However, are they able to find a little bit of space? They go in deep, they go to an unpredictable position. Falcons are looking for Tachanka, but they don't get him. This might be a wasted opportunity. The push comes in from Garage. 8 seconds left to go. They need to find kills. The diffuser is down, but Virtus.pro have scattered like seeds on the wind. They have got themselves away from sight. They find the final kills, and that's going to be Virtus.pro taking the first round of overtime.
You saw the exact thing you were speaking about earlier there as well, Tim. They had to try and kill the Chanka. They had to force deep for him, but Virtus.pro were ready. They know that it becomes a bit of a protect the president game when you've got a Chanka on side, and they made sure they had all their angles covered, even with the Vault player making sure that he couldn't be aggressed onto from main stairs. A really good round. Falcons now have got 2 to win in a row if they want to see this done 2-0. Otherwise, Lair awaits.
I think we're going to be heading down, I would guess, the basement again for Falcons here. They only won it once, to be fair. They did lose it once. The site they actually won twice was top floor. I'm not sure that they'll risk that again. It was a very, very close run thing with Doom up there in the second time. Yeah, as expected, they're going to go down there. So the one time, the big difference between the first time they played Lockers and the second time, they lost it the first time, they won it the second time, was the Tachanka. Having the Tachanka rather than the Echo just changed the game up a little bit, because as soon as Dan got taken out as the entry death, there's a fear offline. They couldn't deal with the shield in front of the Tachanka, and Virtus.pro kind of crumbled a little bit. They just, you know, tried to force a few things. It didn't really work. This time we've got Leakerfack. He's a little bit of a difference. We didn't have the Warden last time around, and I think normally you'd expect Warden to play around blue stairs, but given that he doesn't have the shotgun, I'm not too sure that that's going to be the case.
We'll see how we build into it there, right? Because again, it's going to be this delay tactic. It's the thing that actually was banned away from them yesterday, was leaning in towards a ban on the Shanker to try and force Falcons to have to come and play out a little bit further. They couldn't just sit in behind utility and punish Virtus.pro through the clock. Here, of course, they haven't opted for that same ban. It wasn't on the same map. We didn't play Bank yesterday, but it was banned away from them on console, I believe it was. Here with it being available again, no doubt we're looking towards the same style of setup. They'll just kind of go, well, it works so well for Virtus.pro, I'm sure we can do the same. This is where the challenge now falls on towards VP. You've ran a similar strat. You've just seen yourself pull it off to perfection. Can you now find a way to break it open? Because it's all good knowing how to play something well. You also need to be able to respond to it when the other side is doing the same thing.
Quick clearance and claiming of top floor so far from Virtus.pro, but they've got a little bit of work to do in and around open areas. Solotov is still there, joined by Doom as well. 2 of the most deadly, 22 kills between them up to this point. You're going to have to be careful playing in there and looking for the clearance on them. Neither have dropped away yet. They are committed, as I say that, one of them does. And there goes the second. So good clearance from Virtus.pro. A minute 15 into the round, and they've got the map control. There's only Leakerfack left. He is on blue stairs without the shotgun. This is a real choice, because the only angle you're likely to really challenge is that super tight one on the door.
He's not got a shotgun primary?
No.
Oh.
He does not.
Are you sure?
Certain.
C4 out.
Maybe he's had to waste a bit of time, shoot through some drones and then fall back. You know, Jaeger on Oregon, big tower stairs style. I'll point towards on that one. And the R&D right, it's the MPX set in the back pocket. Interesting. Okay. Well, we moved him. I'll try and make it work as they can. It does mean, like you say, you can't really afford to play on the stairs. I'd be curious to know if afterwards, if that was a mistake not to play the shotgun, because very commonly you'll see players play their life in there with the Goyo canisters also being in assistance and just punish off the back of that. That's not looking good, though. Perfectly placed aim from Skies, Tim. And they were looking to break into sight there for a second, but no. Goyo canister going to impede their process. And now this is my favorite fire to see, by the way. When you get it on towards that default spot, as you've just seen, though, Dan able to tank the whole thing and they can still get it opened up. I thought for sure he'd be roasted then.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it, didn't it? He was kind of praying that his hard breach charge went off quickly enough, but needs to be careful here because they're going to want him to remove that shield in front of the Tachanka. It hasn't gone yet. 3 versus 4, and there you go. It's now cleared out, so Breeder's got a problem. He has to play all of these lead.
He's got enough fire.
If he wants to burn it out, it's difficult to hit the mark from Lead Pro, and he manages to find the man downstairs. 3 versus 3, 3 versus 2, 2 versus 1. This is just absolute chaos at the minute. It's all up to Skies. 6 seconds left to go. He needs to find the kills, and Falcons just need to survive. Usus does it the best way he knows how, by finding a kill, and we are going all the way to 15.
I can't say, Tim, that I expected this coming into Bank. Given how Clubhouse went down, I thought surely we'd see Falcons run away with this map. They've done well. They've battled their way back in because they were behind for a long time. But Virtus.pro have just kept them pushed every single step of the way. It's going to take that 15th round tiebreaker to decide who walks away as the winner. I anticipate we'll go towards an open area and staff setup. Got to acknowledge, by the way, Breede, 2 kills with the gun. Played so smart, knew they'd be coming for his life one way or another, knew that Vault was clear behind him. His teammates had him covered from inside a cache. All he had to do was watch onto main stairs and watch the main long angle. He could have stayed on his backside after getting the main stairs kill and just start spamming fire. He had like 15 canisters left that he could have laid down in all those default plant spots and they would have won on time. But instead, steps up, gets that second kill, And that's really what enables him to get the round over the line when you need him most. He steps up. Top floor is where we head to close things out, Tim. And you've spoken already about the history of this site, about the previous ones you've seen. Both times, Virtus.pro have won it out pretty handedly. So I'm nervous at this point for Falcons. The only site they've managed to win on the attack so far has been inside of Staff and Open, and it will not be required.
10 seconds
Yeah,
left.
you've got to say that right now, the odds, the stats all sit with Virtus.pro to be able to close this out. But look, we see weird things happen in overtime quite regularly. Just get there and those defensive streaks come to an end. Attackers start winning. All things can happen in round 15. Pasha on the Valkyrie. Neko on the Clash. Skies on the Solus. There are so many horrible defensive ops to deal with in this lineup.
Oh boy, oh boy. But it's the same response that we saw last time, back in round 6 it was, and we had the Carly on side as an attempt to try and deal with the Clash. Instead, I believe he got a kill onto Dan, I want to say it was, the opening round, and we were like, well, there's the threat of that sniper rifle. But again, it was an entry that they didn't manage to convert into a round win. It's why, again, I've been so hesitant to celebrate 5v4s for Falcons. They have dominated entry in all but 3 rounds out of 14 in this game. Yet still, the score sits at 7-7. Can't always get it over the line off the back of a guarantee. So let's see how they can deal with the Clash in this round. Let's see if they can keep tabs as well on where those Valkyrie cams are. Saw one earlier on scattered inside a lobby. It was obviously a little bit of a nuisance, but both teams need to be paying respect to that util coming out from the other.
Probably always very difficult to find those Valkyrie cams if you don't bring the IQ along.
Oh, aye.
Need to be, there's just so much space in there, so many little hiding places, but you can see now all 4 along stock corridor. Falcons starting to work their way up, getting a little bit more confident now that they can push up towards top square at least and start taking that ground. The pings come out. It's going to show them all just crowded together. Very, very close. Halfway through the round, Solotov takes a little bit of damage. The peaks continue coming. Don't want to overcommit because they know it's a Cali, but right now, Falcons just not really inside of the map. Solotov just moves into ATMs. Doom is on square all alone. And it's up to Leakifact now. He's got himself into basement and starts moving up marble stairs.
This is okay if you feel you can make a plan happen here by just keeping them suppressed inside long desk, inside a janitor, for example. But this is the problem. The Clash can just walk up on you. You don't really have a whole lot to stop him here. Yeah, fire and keep him at bay for now. But do you want to risk trying to make a plan happen off the back of this? Now would be the time because they don't have unlimited fire to play behind. Smoke available to go through as well. That really could be what the team are looking for. They want to keep them pushed back down towards the south of this top floor and look for an execute. But they're relying on that as everything, Tim. We're down to the last 35. They're running out of time to make this work.
Yeah, I'm just not sure Falcons have really got a plan at the minute. They're going to go for the upside down repel. Solotov picks up Dan. Could that be the one that creates the gap, that creates the opener? Falcons need to get moving. 24 seconds left to go. Virtus.pro are frustrating them at this point. There is just nowhere for them to push forward. But how about that? Solotov picks up the second. 15 seconds.
No
it
way.
looks like it could be Falcons. They need to get this swing around the corner onto the Clash. 4v1. Surely it's going to be theirs. 6 seconds left to go. Neko is fighting for his life. He's 1 HP. The diffuser's going down, but he keeps getting kills. Are they able to secure the plant? Yes, but Neko does it, and Virtus.pro get themselves the map, Des!
That is absolutely astounding. Just when they're so close to seeing it over the line, Neko, the man who has been bullied on shields by C4s and explosives all series long, comes out with a massive 4K, hands in the round, and sends us into lair today, because it was excellent lair play yesterday, and the winner, they take everything. They are EML champions. They get 420 SI points, and they get the accolade of being the best team in Europe.
Yeah, getting into lair, I think it's... If you look at the numbers, it's a much higher preference map for Falcons. We know they're good on there, but their recent record isn't amazing, 5-4. Whereas when you look at Virtus.pro, it's lower down their preference list, but they're 6-3, so slightly better. I think we're going to have a very close matchup between these two. I expect Falcons to ban away both of the Electro Bros. That's what we see consistently from them on this map, and that is going to be the case. Bandit and Kaid taken away, and very much the same for Virtus.pro. That's their stock standard bans here. Monty and Grim going to be taken away, and that's how we're going to be shaping up coming into round 1. Aquo has played a lot of Clash so far today. Given that there are still shields on the board, we might see a little bit more from him. Doesn't look like we're going to coming into round 1, but certainly something to keep an eye on, because again, he's done a great job with you know, frustrating Falcons with that operator.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, let's see how long Rorik can hold on for. As you heard the guy saying on the desk a good few hours ago, saying, "Oh, I need a nap, I need a rest." It is grueling. It's something I was going to speak about towards the back end of last map. We've now been playing for 6 hours, going into our 7th, as we get into the back end of Lair, no doubt. And for a lot of teams, when they scrim, for example, you often hear the most productive is the first few hours of scrims. After that, it takes a nosedive. People need a rest, they need to get some food, they need to take their mind out of the game for a little bit. Virtus.pro will have been playing for about 7 hours straight once this is over and done. And at that point, you could 100% expect you're going to start seeing things like errors creeping. But the crazy thing is, as Dayquo showed, he don't care how long he's been playing for, Tim. He can still pull out a clutch just like the rest of them. I want to believe that Hornet was confirming what I was saying then, rather than saying anything else.
Absolute huge moment coming in from Dayquo. Massive, massive, massive in the end of round 15 there. Just so unlikely as well, given his HP. Even one bullet breezing past him after going through a soft wall would have still done the job to finish him off, but just reacted beautifully to the situation. It's one of those where you play it on instinct. He's not really thinking too much at that point. It's just, you know, you take the gunfights as they come. And he did a brilliant job of it. So let's get into this. 40 seconds in. We can see already Falcons are aware that Ops is available. So straight in they go. Selma on the wall. Open up the angle down mezzanine. That's going to give them at least a little bit of access to that site wall that they're going to want.
Well, got the side of Ops opened up already here inside the first 60 seconds, which ain't too bad. Off in the very, very far distance, you can see June putting his focus on towards green. And no doubt one on display window at the same time. So a bit of a surround starting things out here for Falcons. Flood in, often not a bad idea, but you do need that main spearhead, that main push in. And that really is to be greedy. I'm looking towards him. That's easy for Doom, isn't it? That's Chanka gone as well. How to go from 0 to 0 very quickly, Dayquo. Lose one of the most important operators for the round inside the opening 90 seconds without even so much as a bullet being fired.
Breeder didn't really need to put the nade in there. The Nitro came out onto the barbed wire and did the job for him, but he's going to start pushing towards our 6th room, towards storage pretty soon, and looking to get himself onto that side of sight with the Blackbeard, cause a little bit of a nuisance. I often refer to it as like playing with a wasp in the room when that shield operator is up in your face, but again, the shotgun does a great job. Doesn't matter. The trade is there. It's Doom again taking Pasha down 3 versus 3 as Rorik manages to find Leak. In fact, this is just an absolute bloodbath. He's gone underneath to take down the Deimos, I think, so that he can't be dislodging players from in behind that desk, for example. Neither of these teams willing to give an inch at the minute.
I want to point out, by the way, that Solotov was 7-1 on entry on the last map. Absolute demon when it came around to getting his team the opening advantage. Obviously, hasn't quite been the case in this round. If nothing else, the team have found the entry and then not been able to push on forward and maintain that advantage or grow it in any way. In fact, they've lost it. Down to just a 2v3 here, but you'll thank your lucky stars having Eustace on side with that stake. Should be able to feed information, but now at long range being challenged. In he steps, one towards the left, the other off towards the right. These two have been teammates for a long time, so if anyone get it done in the 2 versus 3, it is them. Here we go, the swing coming in from Eustace, but no, they're almost all but out of time. Final 5 seconds, Eustace has to win this engagement. On towards the shotgun, will try his very best, but the swing is in from Skies on the other side. He'll pull off the diffuser, round 1 to Virtus.pro.
A bad nade from Eustace has probably cost them that round there. You just saw he didn't quite bounce it around the door frame like he wanted to. He knew that the player was there. It would have dislodged their position. Maybe he makes the challenge and wins the fight then, because they would have been on the back foot having to move, but it catches the other side of the door frame, bounces back into sight and doesn't do the job. He takes a swing, can't quite find the kill, and that leaves them then effectively 1v2 whilst Breeder's putting the diffuser down. So if he gets that nade in the right position and gets the kill, he's then 1v1 and he's just trying to hold cover whilst the plant goes down. But Virtus.pro, they get themselves the first defense. Top floor is locked down, and that's going to see them move on to the basement.
All right, not a bad first round at all. Again, despite them losing the entry, they still managed to battle their way back in and hold out well towards the back end of things. And losing the Chanka really should have been a bit of a death knell for them. I would have liked to have seen Falcons focus on trying to go for an upside push and trying to get the diffuser down inside of Mask Wall. That would have been the go-to play because they only had the smoke. You can
10
draw out
seconds
those
left
smokes and
before
waste
insertion.
time and then look for things off the back of that. But instead, they put so much focus on towards green that it meant they were kind of bottlenecks actually pushing in at the end of the round and just didn't have enough firepower around the map to get control of what they were then able to with the picking off of that Tachanka. So I think probably getting a bit too committed towards one route there when it would have been wise to pause and revisit and think, okay, actually, what's a better option now that the Tachanka's gone? Things could have been course corrected, but I digress. That's in the past. We're into round 2, just stating. We are on to the downstairs. No Ram on side, but we do indeed have Sledge coming along, so that'll be Jume's focus is getting in above, ripping up a bunch of floorboards and giving them a little bit of cover or a little bit of threat from above, depending on which way you want to look at it. That does first mean getting rid of the roamers that are up here though, which there is only the one. It's Pasha dug in on that mute inside of medical right now.
Reloading.
We saw a little bit of difficulty for Falcons yesterday against Virtus.pro in getting moving when they were attacking this side. Particularly, they spent an absolute age around the top of filtration stairs and they just weren't able to break down all the utility that was there. There was the smoke, there was Goyo canisters, there was generally deployable shields. They won't be this time, they haven't brought one along, but there was just so much utility there and they couldn't break it down and they spent ever stuck there trying and trying and trying. This time they're going to go for the warehouse instead. They do lose Brede along the way, but Leak in fact manages to pick up Rorik, manages to pick up a second. That Sky's taken down. So 4 versus 3. Solotov onto Neko. This is all going in the direction of Falcons right now.
Great
Users
play.
onto Dan, likely to level things up now. 3 versus 1. Pasha just going to use that Nitro to open up a vertical angle, maybe try and catch somebody as they come underneath, and he does exactly that. The judgment on that is just unreal.
I mean, we had a few choice comments about Pasha yesterday with some of the plays he was pulling off. It was inhuman. It's the only way I could possibly describe it. Solotov has got the diffuser here. They can look to get this down outside of his eyes, watching it from above, but of course can always open up more angles, and that surely has to be the concern. Thought for a second, Jume might find him on the vertical, but no, they've moved off towards a different plant spot here. They will get to stick this, which means Pasha now has to force his way down to be able to challenge on towards this one, which makes it very, very unlikely. A single bullet and he's done.
We thought that about Neko last time around, and he still managed to find a way, but as you say, unlikely. Possible, though, as Pasha comes around the corner. If anybody's capable in the world of doing this, we know he's one, but Falcons have been smart. They've retaken top floor. Jume is up there with the sledgehammer swinging, opening up verticals above that plant spot. Even if Pasha finds this, which he won't, it would have still been very difficult. Solotov gets his man, and it is 1-1, and this one continues as we knew it would. We asked for this replay yesterday. We got it today, and it continues to deliver the excitement that we knew it would. We've had overtime on map 2, and now it is 1-1 on layer map 3, and you just already know this one is destined to go the distance.
That's the thing, isn't it? All 3 maps now started with the first 2 rounds, one going to either team, both showing that they can either defend really well in the first round, but then also see a really good attack coming into the second. Both have turned up to play. As much as maybe you're coming into this thought off the back of that 7-2 clubhouse that it'd be a very easy Falcons 2-0. Virtus.pro are doing anything but making it easy for them. It's great. I mean, I don't want to be too critical of Brede because I love the guy, but by the same token, he is the person who seems to die the most with shields either to the feet or being shot over the shield. We don't see that problem really hurt other shield players as much.
No, I would agree. I think, yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that over the last day or two. Just
10 seconds
maybe
remaining.
not quite positioning himself well enough, or just,
5 seconds
like you
remaining.
say, just having that angle of the shield just wrong. You've kind of got to look down towards the ground. If you don't look down enough, you're still leaving your feet exposed, but and the more you lean forward, the more you expose the top of yourself as well. It really is a balancing act when playing on those operators. So round 3, here we go. It's going to be down to the basement again. Virtus.pro deciding that they're going to run it back here. Deciding there's something different they can do. They were picked apart by Falcons last time. The only real impact that they had was at the beginning of the round, taking Brede down. But after that, Leak in fact just moved through them for fun in warehouse. But they had everything they needed from the end of the round.
Even a C4 coming out as well, really trying to say, nope, you cannot come inside a warehouse. We're keeping you out with everything we could possibly get. And at least on the back of that, it's not the end of the world. Like, he opened up for him now. He can very comfortably start stepping his way in. Wants to be very, very careful about it so as not to get himself completely covered off. Well, Sky's a C4 that's gone. Still the one in left back pocket with Pasha. Otherwise, they've got to really lean on the smoke, I think, to do enough damage to see Bride finished off, unless, again, he exposes his head or his feet too early, in which case he can be picked off as he was in the prior round by Skies. Slow start for Falcons, Tim, but I don't blame them. Expecting aggression out of Virtus.pro? Never. Not after what they've seen on the last 5 maps they've played them on.
No, pretty a fair expectation. Quick drone goes in, takes the default cam. Can they find any more? Need to be careful of the mute jammer. It's going to be just around the corner, so they dip back. Don't want to overcommit and lose the drone. Usus manages to just sneak his way down. The opportunity was there, but he just misses the opportunity through weapons wall. Little bit of damage done to Skies, but nothing to write home about. Nothing too major. But we still found ourselves 5 versus 5. Minute 15 left on the clock.
I remember someone asking us a while ago, do you think like the SMG-12 should be nerfed? I'm like, I know it's strong at close range, but at medium to long range, as you just demonstrated, it's very hard to hit the appropriate shots. Obviously didn't manage to get away with one, but now managed to find Pasha. So maybe really undoing everything I've just said, then proving actually, no, it's a little bit of a beast of a weapon. And we come with a step on forward though. Bride again leading the charge, but look how low he is, Tim. That impact from Rorik is looking mighty appealing right now, as well as Naqo smoke canisters. They do have a way of dealing with him, in fact. Rorik is ready to pokeball him as soon as he steps around the corner.
He's just waiting for that approach, and oh, the drone comes in. Does it stop? It saves Bride's life. I think if Rorik's a little bit more prepared for that, he probably takes the shield down, but he took the shot on the drone, lost his own life. It's now 4 versus 2. Virtus.pro look like they thought they could get this one done, but Falcons just seem to be finding another gear at the minute. Leakerfact hitting some beautiful shots over the last couple of rounds. The passion is pouring out of them, and Falcons managed to take round 3. It's 2-1 now.
Yeah, Solotov really ain't messing around. I think he got a 3K in the round there as well, which takes him up to 6 in the game so far. I was looking at the overall numbers across the whole series that we've seen play out before us. Leakerfact at 23 and 16, June 22 and 17, Solotov 21 and 17. They're absolutely flying. And on the other side, it's very close, to be fair, between like kills and deaths for nearly every player in the game. Like the biggest stretch we've got is Leakerfact at that 23 and 16 scoreline. Everyone is making themselves heard and involved in some way. I think it's really the entry where the difference has been made, because at least as it stands, it is +8 across the series to Team Falcons. That round there in particular, and the previous one, to be fair, they did lose the entry, yet they've come away as the winner of both, which shows they've got that comeback ability that maybe they didn't have previously.
On we go. We're going to have the additional bans will be coming on in, and see which way they go. If we have a look at what has gone previous, so we've got this army and the Deimos taken away, which is pretty much it's a little bit more targeted, because the Deimos ban particularly is not one that Virtus.pro would normally make on layer. They tend to sort of line up more towards the Glaz, Capitao, Ying. That tends to be their third choices. So definitely looking at targeting Leakerfact with that Deimos. Don't want him getting underneath. Don't want him having that sort of effect. And it's a really common ban against Falcons, to be fair. And I think it is because of Leakerfact using it so consistently. And then as far as the Azami goes, again, I would say vice versa. It's not usually something that Falcons would ban out on this map, but it is generally banned against VP. So what that tells us is that both of these have been targeted towards their specific playstyles.
You need to know each other so well at this point. You don't sit as 2 of the top teams in Europe and not scrim each other a bunch, and of course encounter each other in games that they have done over the last couple of days, as well as during the regular stage. I think we've obviously heard a few comments about the state of scrims in the EU right now, but I think a lot of top teams, they're the ones still taking this very, very seriously. So again, I imagine they play each other a hell of a lot. Probably helps that, again, their play styles match up quite a lot, I think, again, in terms of the tempo of their play. As we've seen across the last couple of days, like in some of those rounds, you could like remove the names from the screen, and I imagine you'd have a lot of people struggle to name exactly who is playing, like which team is which. Operator differences are definitely there, but playstyle looks very, very familiar, I think, between both. Rorik starting out as June Falls. That's the Blackbeard gone, Tim. Spoke about Bride losing it earlier on quite easy, while Juba's just done exactly the same.
Yeah, twice now that they've lost that Blackbeard at the beginning of the round. and not ideal for them. It's 3 entries in a row for Virtus.pro as well. Granted, it hasn't really, you know, transferred itself into round wins necessarily every time, but still, it is giving them that advantage. We see the Selma charge just shot off the wall as well. Still 1 remaining, but Solotov needs to make sure that the end of mezzanine corridor is dealt with. Underneath that default cam, that kind of area has to be sorted, because otherwise you're just going to see the next one shot off as well, and there won't be any breach to be completed. Rorik manages to get 1, Solotov another. Dan taken out. Might now be an opportunity to get the rest of that wall opened up, but Rorik onto Likafak. As I say that, the Selma does go onto the wall. A lot of questions to be answered by Falcons in this 2v4.
I mean, they've very much given Rorik every 1v1 he could possibly ask for. A freebie onto Solotov there. As much as we were praising them in the previous round, it's now starting to look very, very wrong. Very, very Pete Tong. Sometimes saying in the UK, smoke coming out into 3 days. Got no choice here but to step up, and Skies is there for the close. And Rorik off towards 1. Really good round for Virtus.pro. They bring us even once again.
Honestly, these two are just destined to go back and forth here. They're both playing good siege. They're both having the moments. They're both making mistakes as well. They're both offering up opportunities to the other team. Like you say, a whole host of 1v1s offered to Rorik there, which he was more than happy to take one after another. And so it kind of feels a little bit like the team that can maybe, you know, stop the rot, stop the mistakes quicker might actually be the ones to take the wins here. Yes, they are both playing well when they are winning rounds, but the rounds that they lose, if they could just cut out those small errors, going to be a real difference maker for them.
Okay, well, build on from here. See you can get the lead, or at least pull any kind of advantage out of this half. I really wouldn't be shocked, Tim, if we see a 3-3 split. If I go back and look at yesterday, honestly, off the top of my head, we've had so much siege the last couple of days that I can't remember the exact outcome of each half of every single game that we've done, but it was 3-3 splits that we had yesterday. I get the sense we're heading towards that yet again.
To go. 5 seconds remaining.
Alrighty, Roo. We're going to go to the mid floor this time around. So there's going to be a top floor hold. We've spoken about this consistently, and it is always an important one for attackers to clear out. We've seen a couple of times over the last few days, last few weeks, last few months, where attackers don't try to clear out this top floor. Instead, they'll just go direct to site. They'll rely on the utility, and it hardly ever works. Or if it does, it's usually by the skin of their teeth. So Falcons, I'd like to see them get inside of the map. They've got the external wall. That's going to be opening up pretty quickly. There's no denial there. There's no electricity. Obviously, they've been manned away. There's no mute on side. So there's nothing they can do about that. They can just get that wall opened up, a little bit of phantom pressure into sight, and then the focus has to be towards this top floor. To answer your question, Des, when they played on Lair yesterday, it was a 3-3 split on both sides before it went.
It was.
Time.
They have a little bit of back and forth throughout there. Of course, one team was had to take the lead at some point in the half, and you may well see a little bit more of that coming out here. Of course, in this half, for us to get the 3-3, it means 1 round apiece. So we'll see how it builds out. Bash is the one running around in the Chanker in this round, and then we've seen this one a million times, Tim. Last time around it was Nako who went down very early on, which certainly wasn't ideal. Granted, it is a different site, but same idea to it. You're looking to try and deny upstairs for as long as you can here. In towards green, off down towards, if you need to, down towards mezzanine side door as well, so they can't easily push in towards you, and then ultimately drop away in towards site. But for the most part, Virtus.pro want to leave at least 2 players upstairs at all times. Really, it's kind of protect the President again, but the President and this map isn't Chanker like it was back on Bank. It's Dan on the Solus. We saw this yesterday. Teams repeatedly ignoring trying to get top floor control and just saying, forget about it. We'll try and plan. And we're a little bit like, but why? Unless you've got EMPs on side, you're making your life really hard for yourself. And for now, at least, the pressure coming on towards this top floor, Falcons have got the memo. They want to make sure they can get in and try and punish and move these Virtus.pro players away. But downwards the 1v1 towards Solotov. It's all going wrong, Tim, because they're again going in one after the other, just giving repeated, isolated gunfights to members of Virtus.pro.
Yeah, I think you need to be sending Brede in first there. That's why you've got that shield on side. It's to go in and cause disruption. It's to get up in the face of those defenders and make their lives difficult. Doom has a bit of a hero moment, though. Manages to go in and find 2 kills. Nako, Rorik both taken down. And that really brings Falcons back into a round that it was looking like they were well out of. And they forced away that top floor hold. There's only Dan left alive up there, but he's on Skybridge. He's not really in a position to impact on a plant or on any attempt towards site. Likafak picks up Skies. This one is in Falcon's hands right now.
surely is there to take him, right? The down, of course, to see if they do try and go for an execute. I was about to say, he wants to try and get back upstairs. It might not be an awful idea, but ultimately pays the price. Pasha now got to clutch up big. Wouldn't dare take them stairs, son, personally, not after you've just seen your teammate die up there. Shield now in front of his face, at least that's one. Does he know about the man lying down in front of him? Not too sure that he does, but Leakyfat wants to give absolutely nothing away. He'll just sit here and wait. Pasha's got to find something, though. He needs to get rid of the shield, really, to have any chance of winning this one out, because look at the patience being shown by Leakyfat. Out comes the pistol, steps across, and there's Leakyfat ready for him to cross the threshold. He does just that, and that's another round for Falcons.
I love that from Leakyfat. You could just see him bottom left of your screen, tucked away, and he was not going to be dragged out of that position for any reason whatsoever. He knew that he just needed to wait for the Tachanka to cross over. The thing is, even if he gets the kill onto Brede there, even if he clears out the shield, he's naturally then going to move towards that diffuser. He's going to think that Leakyfat is deeper, maybe out of the room, maybe upstairs. So he's not going to be looking down in that corner. Beautiful positioning from Leakyfat to close out the round, and it manages to attract a tactical timeout from Virtus.pro with only 1 round left in the half.
We had this during the series yesterday. I forget if it was on Lair, but they did it at the end of round 5, and it was a bit like, it's a bit late now, lads. Like, you really want to try and course correct just the 1 round? And clearly because, you know, many would perceive Lair as being one of our more attacker-sided maps, even though in EML it might not be by the numbers. I think amongst 2 very even teams as these two are, it certainly is, and they just need to find this second defense from somewhere. They've only managed to win up on that top floor. They've lost downstairs twice in a row. They've lost bunks and briefing. Where can they go to get a win? That's probably what they're having the conversation about now. We've got to get the win from somewhere. We can't be down 2-4 going onto our attacking side. We need a win here.
See that last late angle taken up by Leakyfat there to close out the round. 3-2 now Falcons, and I think I don't often call a pivotal or a swing round, as I like to call them, this early. It's usually in the second half, but honestly I think this could be big if Falcons win round 6 here, take a 4-2 half on attack and then move on to the defense. I'm not sure how Virtus.pro are going to fight back from that. They are at the tail end of a very long day so far. Already had 3 maps against GK, overtime in map 2 against Falcons. They've played a lot of siege. You just feel like the longer this one drags on, the more it falls in the favour of Falcons, and just think 4-2 half mentally could be a really big blow for Virtus.pro, especially when they're going on to the attack in the second half. So having a look at the site, it's going to be the basement, it's the lab and support. Neko finally brings the clash. It's the first time in the 6 defensive rounds, considering how much we saw him play it previously. It's the first time he's going to bring it along. I imagine it's going to be to try and hold on to filtration.
Absolutely. I mean, Neko's got to do a lot of work here. It's the one my eyes are on most importantly. That clash, as we've spoken about so much over the last 2 days between these two, has been a real thorn in the side of whoever's facing off against it. Those shields on the other side to really contend with. So I don't want to say diminished impact, because obviously still very, very potent. They've got nades to be able to throw at him to force him backwards or potentially catch out the shield if he leaves it deployed. Either way, there are options. It's still just going to be the frustration, I think, of that clash being there, staring you down when you're trying to push him towards site. That could well prove to be the problem.
Twitch drone, I think, will have just been taken out there. We hear the bullets firing off as we switch away from the POV, but just trying to survive, trying to dash its way through sight. Didn't quite manage to make it. Soliton radar is at least going to tell them that the area above site is mostly clear, so they can start going in there now and looking for a bit of vertical pressure. What a challenge coming in from Pasha, though. Manages to take down Doom. Dockerby gone. Cole's along with her as well. 5 versus 4. Big entry for Virtus.pro.
Absolutely. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. And I've got to say, that's 5 entries in a row now for Virtus.pro. Whatever the hell's happened between this and Bank, I really don't understand, but it has been a massive swing in the other direction. I mentioned that Falcons were +8 on the entries, a team across the series. That's been massively diminished down now off the back of some really good round starts of Virtus.pro, and yet they still find themselves trailing. Finally, what stats can do, Tim?
It really is, isn't it? They can support anything you want them to a lot of the time. Pasha is going to take a little fight out towards that door. Doesn't find his man, but it doesn't matter because he's wasting time right now. He's all the way up on the top floor. Rorik manages to take down Solitov. Falcons unable to focus on sight at all, really, at the minute. Brede is down there with diffuser in hand, but there's just too much going on elsewhere, and Pasha is the real problem. They know that they've got a Solus above. They know that they can't leave him out there. 30 seconds is almost minutes on the clock. And whilst they are doing some good vertical work here, they just don't have the answer. They have never put a leash on Pacha, and he has now seriously hurt them in this round.
We adapted. We almost said we might get ourselves a 3-3 half, but look at what we've got, Tim. A 3-3 half ending on a flawless Virtus.pro. I'm really interested to see how the second half goes, but before we dive into that, I'm sure our devs have got a lot to say about that first half. Let's go over to them now.
What a close matchup this been. Almost as close as Jack and Leo are at the moment. But honestly, it's just showing the great quality between these two teams and how closely matched they are, with this being a constant back and forth.
Do you know what? I keep talking about this game as a chess match, and it really was, because VP, they could actually only win one bomb site on their defenses. They won the Master and R6 room twice. They then tried, once they, this is obviously the second round when they'd already won it, they then tried to play the basement twice, failed. And then they tried to play the Dorm site, failed that as well. So really, round 6 came down to a really pivotal moment. Can they adapt and win a site that they've been unable to win so far? If they can, then they'll have a successful 3-3 half on the defense. If they can't, then Falcons will be in full control. So what do? They went away from giving Falcons full control of the map, letting them execute, letting them basically do whatever they want, and they got a little bit active. They brought the Clash, they brought Pasha on the Solace, and when they did that, they caused Falcons all kinds of problems. That is like the minute detail, that is the kind of chess match, the adaptations, you know, the timeout, everything, that all happened so they could get actually a 3-3 half.
I do think that there was a consistent issue of them getting the opening pick. That happened 5 rounds out of 6. And then despite that, they all go back to the bomb site, give back all of the zone control they had, and think what we thought, 5 years ago, which was you get the opening pick, you go back to the bomb site, you just play the defense here, you're winning. But the thing is, against a team like Falcons, they're actually really good to come back from a 4v5. And eventually, in so many of these rounds, even though they lose the opening pick, they find ways to grab a pick here, grab a pick there, and then finally go for the execution. It's just not enough against Falcons, and I think they realized the mistake. Do not let them too much round, because Falcons have enough to work with, and they will beat you even if you have them at advantage.
And that's the trade-off. There's kind of 3 pillars in Siege, right? If you've got the man count, the opening pick, you know, and usually that is very, very important. Then you've actually got the ground and who controls it. And Falcons, despite being down on the opening pick, did control a lot of the map. And then the third factor is the time. And because Falcons were doing that with relative pace, they were able to then just maneuver the defense exactly where they wanted them. So the opening pick was less impactful than it maybe previously was on, say, Bangkok Clubhouse, for example.
I have a quick question. It's kind of 2 questions in one. A, are you still as convinced that Falcons is going to win? And B, do you think they won the first half as well, given what you two were saying?
It's a tough call. I think that VP was dominating in the strategy aspect and with the opening kills. I think that Falcons is the better team, and that's why they brought it back. And I think that overall, it should show in defense again.
I think that round 6 call, that round 6 adaptation to go down to the basement to change up the operators might just save VP. Wouldn't be surprised if we go to overtime though.
I like these adaptation bans, by the way. Remove the Ace from Skies, remove the Grim from Pasha, who will be on the bathroom and display window. Exactly the bans that were a little bit hindering them on there previously. So I like that they're going for the same game plan.
Well, I am just very excited that this is an incredible matchup that we get so far. It is deserving of a grand final for EML Stage 1. But it has to come to an end. The final half starts here.
Thank you very much, Anne. And the guys over on the desk have already kind of alluded to it, Tim, but the bans are identical to what we saw yesterday. No changes away for either side. If you are curious what could possibly follow, it was a Chanka away by Virtus.pro otherwise. But no, I'm lying, it was a mirror, and on the other side it was a banner that followed through. So maybe you'll see the Hib and the mirror follow through in round 9. But maybe, just maybe, both teams will learn something about each other from yesterday, and we could see a little bit of a spice up.
Falcons have got to take this opportunity now that they've switched sides to start getting themselves involved in the rounds a little bit earlier. They actually benefited massively on Bank. We spoke about the numbers at one point. After round 13, it was 11-2 on the entry in favour of Falcons. Well, this time it is quite the flip reverse of that. It's something that Leo's mentioned on the desk there, the way that Virtus.pro are putting themselves into these rounds well. Strategy-wise, they are putting Falcons in bad positions. They are 5-1 on the entry at the minute. Falcons can't really live with that continuously going forward. It's one of those matters of attrition. Eventually, it's going to start getting the better of you. And so they've got to be very careful to come in here and maybe get that little bit of aggression, take the fights on their terms. They're now on defense, so they can kind of choose that a little bit more and try to start just shifting that early round momentum a little bit.
Here we go. Rorik straight in. Shotgun at the ready. I love this adaptation on it as well. No one's watching. He just gets an easy kill on towards Yuzu. He's probably thinking, how the Nora has that just happened? And now someone's vaulting up. That is ridiculous. Like, what is going on, man? That's a start. That's certainly a start.
It certainly is. That's Doom through and through, just getting himself up and over so that he can challenge onto the Deimos. Never likes to miss an opportunity, and that is going to actually give them a lot of security on this site. It's meaning that Brede particularly is going to be much more protected, because normally it would be the Deimos that goes underneath and challenges the Tachanka from below. That's why the shield is set up on that hard surface, to try and prevent that, but that's not going to be the case anymore, so they don't need to worry about that. I think Doom's going to be quite happy there. Losing users, not ideal, of course, but being able to take out the Deimos, that's big for Falcons.
Still Dan, once again, on that Carly spoke about so many times, a good response to a lot of what's being brought along in the round. The mirror, the key was spoken about to the absolute death as well. Very popular pick for both teams. Here we go. Now they've kind of originally take the ground and then lost the ground and now regained the ground. They're in a good spot here, VP, to look for a default plan. This is the kind of thing that I was calling for from the side of Falcons back in the first half, when they had a little bit of advantage. So, okay, rotate players over. Don't make this any more complicated than it has to be. There's no advantage here for Virtus.pro, but they're still focusing on very much a default execute to come out here. Aware of the pressure that could come in from our inside, as that's where the Azami is currently dancing around. And they've still got to worry about Brede, who's sat here very happily, just popping fire away all day long. At some point, they're going to have to challenge him, because they've got a C4 to run into, 13 Shumakas still to go. Oh dear, might have to force himself away here. No way does he get away with this one. No, a T-kill comes out the second of the series, Tim. That's not ideal. Basher does go through and get a kill off the back of it though, before a C4 comes over, gets rid of Dan. Basher all left alone. Bit of a car crash really for Virtus.pro, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it was on the whole, wasn't it? I think losing Deimos early round made it very difficult. You said yourself, Tachanka, the Shumikas, doing a great job. He had 13 left with 35 seconds left to go. He could burn that out twice over. And so, yeah, Virtus.pro already had lots of problems. And then their inability to deal with Likafak in that corner. They sent a nade in. It was really nice nade, actually, to get it in there, into that position. But Likafak, he hops over, sends a Nitro out, gets another kill here at the end of the round onto Pasha. They just never really controlled him or dealt with him. He put the Vector to great work and got Falcons the round. 4-3 now. They get their first defense, and honestly, I really favor Falcons at this point to come in with at least a 4-2 half or better and close this one out for the win. But they have allowed mistakes to creep into their game throughout, particularly against this matchup with Virtus.pro. A little bit yesterday, but not quite as much, I didn't feel. So you just feel like they're going to offer a chance to Virtus.pro at some point in the next round or two, and that's what they need to focus on not doing. Just keep it really tight now. No mistakes, no opportunities.
I'd like to say I agree, but the mistake should really be coming from the other side, not from Falcons. I spoke about this already, but we are now into nearly 6.5 hours of playing the Virtus.pro. And the thing is, I spoke about how scrims can sometimes get a little bit silly towards the back end of maps. You know, players get tired, attention starts to wander. They've been locked in for a few hours, they're kind of done. You speak about being locked into scrims. Think about how locked in you've got to be in officials, like the tension and the pressure in every single round, and you know, the single tiniest mistake that you make can have massive consequences. Here it's 120 SI points on the line, plus a little bit of extra cash. One day it could prove to be something far, far worse. You've always got to be so locked in and focused on the game that I would anticipate it should be Virtus.pro making the mistakes and getting sloppy. Maybe Falcons can hold on here, but they were the ones that fell foul to that crazy jump from Rorik at the start of the last round that really got things going. And already, there we go. It's a bit of a collapse of Nacros. They don't read into where the Echo is. Blasts away the shield. A free kill coming in towards Falcons, but there's also a trade back, Tim.
Really nicely done there, but I think they've just maybe ignored the fact a little bit. Those smoke canisters being sent in through the door were not just for the Monty to cross, it was for Rorik to move into on the glass. Guys picks up Breeders, another one falls elsewhere. It was Solotov taken down 4 versus 2 now, and what looked like a fantastic start for Falcons has really slowed down as Virtus.pro have bitten back. I'm not sure how Likafak got away with that. He opened up the floor above him and there was just no reaction from the player underneath. Dan is going to be successful in getting the plant down. Pasha is downed. It looked like they might line up for 2 there for Likafak, but the fight back will continue. 2 versus 2. Nitro goes out, not going to get its man. Nice, it's angle. Not deep enough. 1 versus 1. Likafak versus Dan.
And Dan is scattered to the winds, as you can imagine there. He's got himself dug way back. A nade, a second one rolling over the top. This will be tough now for Leakafat, but he's been here a million times before, baiting it out of the open over. Now tries to come to defuse, spray through the wall. Doesn't quite find the man. Eventually he does. Down to the left a tiniest little bit. And that's around to Virtus.pro team. We stay neck and neck for a piece.
As I say, it's just Falcons just allowing those opportunities. You feel they got the opening kill there. Solotov takes down, it was beautiful team play to take down the Monty, and then gets picked up by Rorik on the glass, and it just starts to fall apart. Kill after kill come in then against Falcons, and just keep giving up these opportunities, not maybe keeping it tight enough. See that.
It's just a bit of a heartbreak, isn't it? When you get the entry, you start out strong, you remove a shield. And this is what, again, I've been so hesitant to be excited about them finding entries throughout this series so far, is they start out strong, you get a 5 versus 4, class. Just back off a little bit, tighten up, fall back towards site like we typically see in most other games of Siege. Then back on like Club, for example, you get the entry, cool, all of us fall back towards site. Now just hunker down and play together off the back of util. That isn't really happening. They keep on trying to find more, and it's why it's leading to a number of man advantage situations just being choked.
Exactly that, and that's, you know, what I said at the beginning of the round. Hopefully they were going to avoid, don't make the mistakes, don't overcommit, you know, get that entry. You can't just sit back on it for 2.5 minutes, but don't give them those cheap kills. Don't allow that to slip into a 2 versus 4. So 4-4 on the scoreboard. This one continues to be close. A lot of tension, a lot of intensity. And that is always, of course, going to bring out those little errors, those little opportunities. And right now, the impressive thing really is that both teams are punishing the errors of the others so consistently. And that's, like I always say, it's only a mistake if you get punished for it. And right now, most of them are being punished. So, going to be looking towards a mid-floor attack. It's bunks and briefing. So, it's going to be taking control of top floor as a priority for Virtus.pro.
You'd hope so, right? You'd hope so. We've got the interesting choice here of having the Deimos on side. I'd actually love to see this be attempted as a lateral hit on... Never mind, he's dead. Like, come on, man. Come on. I thought for a second, oh, they're really cooking something special here. This is great. They can have the Snake go and lurk on top floor and try and punish him towards Brede when he's getting the track downstairs. You can have Rorik also being able to get a track on towards Brede, so he can't deny them going for the plant so easily. This is great. You know, chuck smokes down, make use of the glass. And then they lose 2 players inside the opening 60 seconds to basically nothing. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a great double from June. It's really catapulted his team into this round. And now they can just sit and hold this top floor control. I can't remember the last time that I saw top floor control wrestled away from a defensive team by just 2 or 3 players on the side of the attackers. So they've really got the work cut out for them here at VP. Nitro goes onto that door, not going to get its target. Soto canister will slow things down a little bit. Solotov picks up the glass. That's Pasha taken out. Naquo looking to try and get rid of the Soto. Will be able to do that, but Scars has got him rid of at the same time. Leakafat finds that kill, 5 versus 1. And you've just got the Blackbeard now trying to work from display door. Just conscious about the flank around him, but he's going to need an ace clutch here, and he's already below half health. Can he push forward into the top floor side? Can't. Because he's going to be peppered from below. The thing is, the number of Falcons players now have just dropped the hatch back to the site. They've gone back to bunks and briefing. Doom's going to approach the Blackbeard, get the melee, get the kill, and that's going to wrap things up for Falcons. It's 5-4.
Okay. I mean, around that, if Falcons had seen themselves lose, I would have been like, we cannot be serious now, right? You can't get those opening 2 kills in the way that they did and see the whole round collapse from there. For Virtus.pro, though, again, it's a little bit of discipline. I know you're tired. I know it's been a long day. Yeah, if the series carries on towards max OT, we could be pushing on more than 7 hours of play for them today so far. But we can't be letting little easy kills go away like that. There has to be a little bit more discipline about the team, whether it's droning, whether it's making use of the Deimos early on to get a track down onto players that you haven't seen on that top floor. Whatever it might be, just keep yourselves alive in the early round. It's the most important part.
Glass and Mirror will be the final bans that will be tagged on. And as we head into round 10, Falcons have the slimmest of margins. And since round 3, it has just alternated. Round 2 and 3 were won back-to-back by Falcons, but otherwise it has been Round 3 Falcons, round 4 VP, Falcons VP onwards from there. So that trend would suggest that VP get themselves around now and guarantee us 12. But if Falcons can overturn that, then they have a couple of opportunities to close it out and crown themselves the ML champions for stage 1. Also grabbing the additional 120 SI points that a win here tonight will gain. As it is, we're going to be going back up to the top floor. Janka is there again. My question is, do Virtus.pro have a method for taking this out? You mentioned that we might see the Janka ban come in, Des. As it is, we haven't. We've seen the mirror instead, and
Yeah.
there's value there.
yesterday.
Leak Effect, yeah, Leak Effect's been playing, brilliantly. When you were saying that they'd had those bans yesterday, there's kind of the question of, would maybe a bit of a Tachanka instead, but no, they've stuck with the mirror. Leak Effect's had a lot of success there, but last time they were on this side, it was the Tachanka that really hurt them. It was the death of Deimos. They were unable to do anything about Brede, and I don't know what the plan there is going to be when I look across the lineup.
Worth raising a couple of stats here as well. There's actually only one player right now on the side of Virtus.pro that is positive, and that's Naquo, the guy that has been playing Shields all series long, I do want to stress. It's something worth touching on from the break as well. When the analyst came in at halftime and both before the series, we were speaking about top players on these teams that we had, Leakafak and Naquo, both putting up lights. One is very much a gun-up IGL in Leakafak. One is running around with shields in front of his face most of the game, yet he is the only player that's positive. That probably isn't a good thing. As you can see, Virtus.pro are struggling to get the kills they need to really accelerate some of these rounds forward. Whereas on the other side, for Falcons, between Leakafat, Joom, and Solotov right now, they're plus 25. They're having an absolute laugh. When it comes to kills, it is not even close.
Joom at the minute is just hiding himself away in medical, looking for an opportunity underneath. I think he's concerned. He's basically there to protect the Tachanka. As I said, they'll expect maybe a Deimos to be coming in here and trying to clear that position from underneath, or maybe a Buck. So Joom has hidden himself away down there, kept himself off the drones, I would imagine, just to try and be in a position to do something about it. He's also got a Nitro in hand, being that he's on the Wamai. That's a recent change with the patch that's come today. So again, he can play for that vertical disruption. It might not be in terms of stopping a plant going down. It might just be looking to get a kill here, for example, on and around the ops wall. As it is, he's still in medical. He's dipped into reception and back. Out goes the Nitro. It's shot out of the sky. I don't know. It's going to be Solotov's wasted, but Joom still has one underneath.
Yeah, really dug in here. Similar to last time, to be fair, the attacks approaching in the same sort of style and fashion. I like the scrap by the looks of it. It's waiting to happen underneath. You've just seen Joom in the spot there with the C4 still sat in back pocket. I'm not just playing downstairs now. It's on the other side. It was Rorik who's underneath on the IQ. So trying a different tactic to trying to snipe them out, I imagine. Once we have things like smokes going down, maybe he looks out for the Warden. I'm not sure. But here we go, as smoke, fire, and brimstone, and everything else you could possibly ask for currently being rained down on top of these Virtus.pro players. The entry going the way of Naquo. Dan in towards the second, looking much better for VP here, Tim.
Yeah, a lot better. They're just brute forcing through this. They don't care about the smoke, don't care about the Tachanka. They go in and find the kills. It's a flawless round. Falcons really suffered with a lack of success on their nitros there. If they can hit one of those C4s out of the door, take down the Monte, maybe it's a different round. But one bounces back off the shield, the other is shot out. It was just a tough round for the utility of Falcons, and so much so it's going to draw in a tactical timeout from them.
Yeah, it's again becoming one of those games where, like you probably anticipate, it just comes down to the wire, right? Virtus.pro did the same thing back in the last round of the half. They wanted to get that single defense over the line. Falcons now thinking, okay, we've now lost up on top floor despite winning there to begin with. We, of course, lost down in the basement. We can't go back to bunks and briefings, so we've got to figure out what site we go to and what we're going to change. That wasn't even a close round. There's almost two sites there, basement and top floor, that are locked off from them unless they change something drastic. That's why I think it comes in now, because they've now got to win 2 back-to-back. If they can win this first one, then they can go back to bunks and breathing. Fine, then they probably feel they can get this done 7-5 and win without going to OT. If they don't win this next round, one, you open the door to Virtus.pro winning 7-5, but you also just mean that you're relying on bunks and briefing to get the job done for you, on which case you had Joom getting a 3K to really drag you through that round, kicking and screaming.
What we do know is about 3 hours of siege comes down to just a handful of rounds. It effectively now becomes a best of 2 rounds, maybe a best of 5 rounds. We will see how it plays out, but it is going to determine who is the grand champion of EML for Stage 1. Falcons, they struggled through the stage, finishing 4th overall. Virtus.pro were much, much better, up there towards the top of the table. Unable to beat G2, but otherwise they beat everybody and they looked fantastic throughout it, so do not write them off here. It does feel like Falcons have the momentum. It feels like Falcons are the team that keep taking the lead and keep getting the opportunities, but Virtus.pro have them on a tight leash to continually reel them back in. Are they going to find their turn to be the ones who go ahead? It's going to be a basement attack, and straight away Virtus.pro are lining up for a warehouse take.
We've seen this before. We got zapped by a yokai and then blasted by Solotov for the entry. I would hope, given they've got the IQ on side, they don't fall foul to the same thing. You can hear it being slapped up on the ceiling there. So before Neko goes charging in, Dan needs to be getting that scanner out and giving them an idea on where these yokais are and what amount of disruption they're looking to try and do. Ideally, destroy them before you go in. Like this, by the way. That's a bit of aggression with the Goya to stop you marching on forward. Slow the round down as much as you can. It is interesting how this is also... We were speaking on the last map about normality and how attacks are being approached. Maybe it's like a club I was speaking about it, actually. Either way, on this map, the normal attack has now become starting warehouse and move across. Before, yes, that was always part of the game plan, but normally you start above and you look for vertical. But for both teams, on this map especially, it feels like vertical just isn't really part of the game plan. They're like, nah, forget about it. We don't want it as the attackers. Have it as the defenders. We'll just leave it out.
Didn't manage to take out the yokai drone, and Breeder still has one in pocket and will be buzzing the other one around warehouse. Going to send one out into lockers now, as I think he's maybe lost one, but still possible to deal. We see it drop off the ceiling there in front of us. Actually, the silhouette still very possible to be dealing with the shield, and it is being stunned out. Breeder's doing a great job with the Echo so far. 1:20 left on the clock, so a lot of time has been burnt here. Virtus.pro not really making any progress because they've been held at bay largely by those Echo drones.
Oh, come on, man. Like, you brought the thing to deal with it and you're not using the gadget that helps you deal with it. Oh, they're lucky to have not been blasted out, but of course all the intel has just flown their way. And look at it now. Look, again, the blast coming out there because he yet another one. What is the point in bringing the IQ if you're not going to be able to deal with it? Like, he's literally behind you, brother. Destroy it, for God's sake. If that got away, I'd have lost it. I'm so glad they finally killed it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they managed to get it. They're going to send in a nade to take out the bulletproof camera, but it doesn't. It's just protected by that little ledge that's sat below it. Users manages to get one. Solotov another. Falcons finding their feet here in the round 4 versus 2. The Monty does manage to find the kill onto Solotov, but is it too little too late? 25 seconds left to go. Impact nade comes out. Neko eating more damage. I would love to know how many HP damage he has suffered without dying in the last 2 days. It must be astronomical. So good, Users picks up Pasha 2 versus 1. Neko, he said he's been the only one positive. He's going to have to prove that right now. Very difficult on the shield, especially when they've got either side of him like this. They're just running away. They know he can't plant. They're wasting the time, and it's going to be a round to Falcons despite Neko's best efforts.
Up to 6 and 5 they step. I can't look past the IQ and the Echoes, man. They got rid of one after it had blasted the shield twice already. And then it turns out there were still 2 more sat around. Like, what is going on? Don't bother bringing the IQ if you're not going to bother trying to get rid of the drones. Just bring something else instead that could be more useful to your team on a util basis. Either way, it means they don't get the business done. It means that Falcons are 1 round away from getting it done themselves. They win this next one. That is it. They've got the job done, and they take the 7-5 win. They get 420 SI points. Virtus.pro will be left holding on to 300 from EML Stage 1. Now, I did say back during the attack timer after round 10, if they can win this next round, they get to go back to bunks and briefing, Tim. But they're going to roll it on the upstairs. They won it back in round 7, but then we saw a really good change coming in from Virtus.pro. They got a flawless round back in round 10 here. And Falcons don't want to go to bunks and briefing. They want to make it work on the main site on this map upstairs. Let's see if they can.
Right, okay. Falcons need to hold on. They've won one, lost one. Are they going to be able to get this over the line? They've got the Tachanka again. That's going to be their focal point for the defense. It didn't work out last time. Doom tried to play it underneath. That didn't work out either. Didn't really have too much of an impact at all. So that's not going to be the case this time. He's going to keep himself up above. They're not relying on Nitros either. Leakapack has one. He's on the Wamai this time. That was Doom's operator in the last time they tried to defend this. But yeah, the reliance on Nitros to stop them kind of getting in through that breach, getting in through the office door, it was not enough. It didn't pay any dividends for them, so it's going to be a different plan this time.
Okay. Pasha in underneath, surely, should be the game plan to try and put threat from below. 3 days to 1, they want to try and make move around. Granted, he's playing on a very annoying operator in terms of time waste, but the eagle-eyed among you will notice he is indeed 0-6, yet to get himself properly involved in the game. But kills don't mean everything. Simmers will often say, you tell me this all the time we play ranked together. I can't possibly imagine why. But here it's about the amount of time that he's able to waste and how he can keep them at bay. He might not always secure the kill onto the players, but again, it's about the contribution towards the team effort.
Well, but actually, yeah, exactly. I'm always just trying to make you feel better when I say that, Des. You know, I don't want you feeling bad down there at the bottom of the scoreboard. But right now, Rotero drone's going in to clear out some of that utility. Do what I call a bit of pathfinding there, giving them the clear space that they need to be able to move forward. Just goes in front of the barbed wire there, hoping to take out anything else that was around the corner. And
yeah, you got 2 barbed wires, big win.
Exactly. It's, you know, a real benefit. I think there might have been a Razor Bloom involved as well there. We do hear a Razor Bloom going off as Monty tries to push forward. It's back out of the way. That's good stuff. Going to look to clear out the keeper barricade, but look at the Wamai magnets. That's 2 in a row that have kept that keeper barricade safe.
I'll try and use the plant here. They're not using the smoke as bait, and they've tried to move Necro away. It's been spotted at long range from normally would be the Azami sat in that position. Don't believe it is this time around that you can see a range. Maybe it is actually on a liar. Skies now with the wall being opened up, that default plant spot being exposed once again. Virtus.pro saying if it ain't broke, why fix it? Let's just do the same thing again.
So far, we haven't had an entry kill yet. Only 4 rounds out of 11 have actually gone the way of the entry kill, by the way. Whether that's a bad omen for Falcons or not, we will see in the next 35 seconds. Solotov picks up Skies. That's the thermite off the board. Will Virtus.pro be able to brute force their way in? Rorik playing from display window. We can see that Solotov is down. The Monty up in the face is going to prevent them being able to make a collection. 3 versus 3, and they're just absolutely bullying users at the minute. He can't seem to find the space to take the Monty down. Dan picks up Doom. It is all about this.
It's all about that, Tim. It's about
Falcons
close it out.
get the win. Unbelievable stuff. It's a trade at the end. But because the diffuser is not down, the defenders win. And Falcons are your EML champions.